Well, a very good evening to you, race fans, and welcome back once again to Simple Racing Broadcast for your Tuesday night. It is, of course, the Alliance Sim Racing Supercar Championship, proudly supported, as always, by Gard, St. Gobain. Season 8 is getting rapidly closer to a finale and indeed crowning another champion here with Alliance Sim Racing. Round 9 of 10 tonight, we are hitting the streets of Adelaide before we go to Bathurst to finish this one off next week. And what a way to finish a supercar season. A couple of top quality Australian tracks. It's a brilliant way to bring this season to a close. My name's Jared Cole. I'm in the booth again tonight with Isaac Fogarty. And Isaac, mate, this is one I've been waiting for. It's always a tricky one with supercars. You never quite know whether you're going to get some of the best racing that you've seen or just the worst carnage. And I still can't decide what tonight's going to look like.
Yeah, good evening, Jared. Good evening, everyone. Look, I think we were here last season for the finale. Josh and I in the booth, Josh Harris, myself, commentating that one. And look, it was a mix of both, really. You had some great racing, some awesome side-by-side action, but also utter chaos on multiple occasions with drivers finding the wall, which is incredibly easy to do at this circuit because it is a street circuit and the concrete barriers are not very far away. Especially look out for turn 8 tonight, folks. Getting that slightly wrong will find you heavy into the wall on the run down towards the hairpin at 9. So there's going to be opportunity tonight for drivers to gain spots, but also there's plenty of opportunities for drivers to make mistakes, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they tackle it. 2 races, a quick 15-minute sprint, and then a 45-lap feature race, which is really going to test the driver's endurance over the course of a race.
Not to mention the 2 compulsory pit stops that they have to make across those 45 laps. Look, I think the fuel demand will be there anyway, but it is going to play into their planning for this evening as well. Before we take a look at the circuit itself, let's take a look at the standings with just 2 rounds left to go. Troy Stonestreet stands alone at the top of the field. He looks almost unbeatable, and unfortunately with Luke Orman not able to race tonight and looking a bit questionable for next week as well, it does look like Orman's attempt at the top step might be over for this season. I mean, we can cross our fingers and hope for a massive turnaround, but it's looking unlikely. It might mean that Dan Yeaman and Connor Nixon find themselves up there on the podium at the end of the season as well. Stephen Varga a little bit further back, as well as Mark Point and Brian Borg, still floating around the top end of this field, but not close enough to really challenge at this late stage. The Cup Trophy, though, very, very much alive. Brett Horsell on 1304, James Hardy on 1281, and Abel Verban on 1274. So that one is one we're going to have to watch to the very last lap on the very last round at this stage. It is going to be a very, very tight finish for that Cup Trophy win. Let's take a bit of a run around this place, shall we? We'll go on board, as always, with Simon Haynes in the Gard St. Gobain Mustang as he takes us around a lap of Adelaide, gets on the power nice and early out of that final turn and up the main straight and onto the centre chicane, where we always expect just a little bit of a challenge there on lap 1. Then gets out of that and on the power as he heads towards this staircase section. This is a really, really tough track for any car to get around. Of course, the Gen 3 supercars bring their own level of challenge to any track they go to, but one of the most frustrating things about this circuit as a driver is you don't really quite get to stretch the legs of the car anywhere through this whole section until you get around this turn and onto the back straight. Up until then, it's really just balancing it on the throttle, and it does get honestly a little bit frustrating. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. I like to actually get those gears wrung out a little bit. Just back it off a little bit here to hold your line through this fast right-hander. Avoid the wall just barely on the left on the way down to the heavy braking zone before this hairpin. And this is where we'll see a lot of overtaking moves attempted here tonight, I'm sure. Get it lined up again and back in towards the start-finish section of the circuit. A couple of tricky little corners here to navigate as well before the run down through all of the BP Ultimate signage towards, well, depends on who you ask, Foster's Corner, RAA Corner. It depends on the season, it depends on the year. But around we come, and that is a lap of Adelaide. It's fast, it's furious, and Isaac, it's going to test him tonight.
Yeah, it absolutely is. This is going to be the ultimate test for drivers. Well, I say that. We go to Bathurst next week, which is going to be just as challenging. But tonight, with Troy Stonestreet looking in a commanding position in this championship, he just needs to stitch together some good results here this evening, and he will have a championship pretty much one hand on the trophy, which he already does, unfortunately, with no Luke Orman or Dan Yeaman. It does seem this evening no Logitech GO DBM cars out there tonight at all. on the grid. So Troy Stone Street, he's looking in control, just needs to stay in control tonight. So what will happen once we get out onto the grid and get into race number 1? The interesting thing to note, Jared, here as well, no waiver rounds for race 1. So even if you do have an incident early in race 1 and we get a late race safety car, you will not get that lap back. So if you go a lap down here in race 1, that could be your race over, and you'd have to really just reset and go again for race number 2.
Yeah, and look, with only 15 laps, it's hard to imagine if you find yourself with some damage in that first race, you're not getting back into competition anyway, even if you do have a waiver round. So I don't think it's worth extending the safety car period. I think that's a good call from the league admins and race control in setting up this evening. I don't think the first race is anywhere near long enough to make it any value at all to any of the drivers. Maybe, just maybe though, it'll put a little bit of pressure on them to keep it nice and tidy through that first 15 lap sprint and make sure that we all do get around, particularly those opening couple of laps in one piece. But if I know anything about the drivers we've got here tonight, they won't be holding anything back as we get towards the end of Season 8 here. Interesting thing to note as well, qualifying of course going on in the background. We are just about to get the results in the next minute or so to set the grid for race number 1. I did notice, and both you and I commented on this as we were watching it all happen in the background, a lot of drivers seemed to come out on wet tyres, or to have wet tyres fitted when they loaded into the qualifying session. Now the track is beautifully dry, there's not a cloud in the sky. I wonder if that's something to do with the fixed setup maybe being set for wets or something like that, and that plan has changed for tonight. But if that's the case, the driver's going to have to be really, really careful to make sure they do swap those tyres over before the start of the race. So they're going to be at a massive disadvantage.
Yeah, they certainly are. They're going to have to be paying attention. Looking at my notes, only 2 drivers ended up setting a time or registering a time on those wet tyres, and that was Abel Burban and Scott Perrin. So they were a bit at the detriment there in the qualifying session. Not quite the result I'm sure they would have wanted, but as long as everyone makes sure they're on those those dry tyres, when we go racing in the first race coming up very shortly, we should be okay.
And we're joined in the booth briefly, Todd Martin from Race Control jumping on in. G'day Todd, how are you?
Evening gents. I just thought I'd come in and let you know we've just had a bit of an issue during qualifying where the Camaro was on the wet setup from Fuji and the Mustang was on the Adelaide setup. So we're going to create a new server. Just give us a few minutes and we'll be back with you.
Thank you very much. Todd Martin dropping by from Race Control, let us know. And that explains exactly what we were just talking about, Isaac, with the wet setup that we were seeing going on in the qualifying session, which means, of course, that we'll have to, I don't know, talk amongst ourselves for a little while we get this new session set up as we get some confirmation of that coming through. G'day to everyone at home. Good to have you back with us again. You're going to be listening to our dulcet tones for just a little while longer while we do get that issue corrected. It might be a little awkward, let's say, for those drivers who were on the Fuji setup tonight if they didn't correct that.
Well, I will say, Troy Stone Street, Mark Poynton qualified 3rd and 4th. If they've done that on a wet setup built for Fuji, they have done a great job to stick that car in 3rd and 4th, because that was looking like a very difficult car to drive. A number of drivers didn't even set a time in that session in the Chevy cars because obviously they were struggling for grip and for turn, really, because a wet Fuji is very, very different to a dry Adelaide. So the car would not be behaving the way they wanted to at all. For Troy Stone Street and Mark Poynton to put those cars 3rd and 4th respectively, great work. It was brilliant for Jason Bentz. He qualified with about 4 tenths clear of everybody else, so he was looking brilliant. But nevertheless, we will press the reset button, Jared Cole, and go again. Give it another crack, which means that we will probably get another look at qualifying and how that's going to play out for our drivers. So where everyone's qualified, they're going to get another shot, and I think that's actually good for, there's a couple of Ford drivers in there that didn't set a time as well, so this could be the opportunity for them to have another crack at this.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I was just thinking, they'll just reset the starting order based on the qualifying session that's just been run. But you've got half the field on a fixed setup that isn't suitable to the track. You have to rerun qualifying, surely.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'd feel hard done by if I was.
Yeah,
if I wasn't on
I think that's probably a reasonable concern to raise if you're one of the drivers who was disadvantaged there. So, yeah, I reckon that's probably fair enough. Just keeping an eye on the sessions now to see what we're getting here and whether we'll see the new session pop up immediately. Although it does look like most of the drivers are out of that first session. There's only 8 or 9 of them that are still connected. So that says to me that at least the message has gotten to the drivers and that it's not just us sitting here missing out on seeing some racing. It is actually going to require a new session to be set up. So bear with us, folks, and we'll get that happening as soon as we possibly can while we wait for everyone to get loaded up.
I was going to say, I did see Tom Martin floating around in the background. Obviously, jumped in and had a chat to us. He's also jumped into the respective team chats and had a chat to all the drivers. So I think there's been communication that way, verbal communication from a race control to let everyone know. And there probably would have been some sort of verbal communication come over the iRacing channels as well. So they'll communicate it that way to let everybody know that that's what's happening, which is good to know. So everyone will get a chance to go again. We'll have to just wait on that session going up, obviously, but it's hopefully not too far away. It does put a bit of pause on proceedings, but luckily, I think this season, Jared, we've been a bit unfortunate with it to move the start time forward for ASR a number of times because the maintenance for iRacing was always scheduled for Tuesday night. However, we're okay. There's no maintenance period this evening, so
you had to go and say that out loud, didn't you? There's going to be some sort of emergency maintenance now that pops up or something, and I'm going to blame it squarely on you, mate. That is.
Okay, I'll take full responsibility.
That is not what we want to see happen this evening. While we're waiting, though, let's have a quick chat about some of the things that we've got coming up over the next little while as well. No racing tomorrow night for the MC Motorsport GT3 series. Their off week has been flipped around, so that championship will pick up again next week while the boys all settle in and watch State of Origin because, you know, apparently some people like rugby league still out there. Let us know in the chat if you're one of them. But Thursday night, a bit of a special one-off event. We've got the MC Motorsport Birthday Bash going on. So check that one out on Thursday night. And of course, the countdown is on to round number 2 of the Legacy Australian Racing Championship, which opened last week to honestly, just an awesome first round at Magello. It was absolutely fantastic to watch. So looking forward to some more of that action in just a couple of weeks' time. And then, of course, next week, Tuesday, we finish this one off at Bathurst. And, geez, Adelaide then Bathurst. It's always an interesting one to me when we get these couple of tracks in particular towards the end of the season because they are real favourites for a lot of drivers because of the nostalgia of driving a local circuit and, you know, one that you can watch the 8 supercars punt around. But I'm going to throw this out there. I don't think that Adelaide and Bathurst necessarily give you great racing. In a sense, I agree. I think you can have good racing at both of those circuits, but it really just depends on the drivers. And we have great drivers here at ASR, so I would expect we will see some great racing throughout the field at both these circuits over the next couple of weeks. There is a number of drivers that I know absolutely love both of these places. One of those is Jason Bence. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with those. I'm also really enjoying, circling back to your other 2 plugs that you did, Jared, I'm really enjoying the Legacy Australian Racing Championship, and they're using the old V8 supercars. We'll say the old V8 supercars, the VF Commodore, and the FG Falcon, the actual Aussie built cars, and they look brilliant. And I'm very jealous that I was not in the commentary box for the first round, and I won't be in the commentary box for the second round. But I'm hopeful that there'll be some an opportunity for me to jump in later in the season because there was some brilliant racing in that series, which and I've also really enjoyed the MC Motorsport stuff that's been happening. So obviously, as you said, they have a week off. They'll be racing Thursday night. I will be racing Thursday night. Supercars on an oval. What could possibly go wrong? But then after that, they'll come back next week and they'll get stuck into the second half of that GT3 season, which has been excellent as well. And there's always great racing over there. There's great racing all around, I feel. Australian sim racing is well and truly alive.
Jared, which is excellent to see. It's growing by the day. More and more people are getting themselves a PC or a console and getting onto sim racing and trying their hands. One of my friends who is very, very fast on console and on Assetto Corsa Competizione specifically has just gotten iRacing earlier this week and already starting to do times similar to that of Ryan Palmer, who is, as we know, relatively fast, and that is absolutely terrifying that he's had a PC for... It's terrifying that he's had a PC for all of 3 days and is already on par with Ryan Palmer. So there is more and more people getting into iRacing and these leagues every single day, which means that there's more for us to talk about. And as long as we've got racing to talk about, I think, and there's people to go racing, I think the world will be a wonderful place. So keen to see how these series continue to progress, and hopefully we're not too far away from getting underway again this evening for attempts number 2. Because it'll be great to see some racing going forward.
Yeah, I can confirm that the session has been set up now, so we're just waiting to get back in on that one and launch on in. So bear with us, folks, if things get a little bit choppy here while my CPU desperately tries to load up an Adelaide session. As we all know, the iRacing demand on the single core is still pretty rough. Really looking forward to the new engine when it eventually arrives, maybe before 2030, but I'm not holding my breath. We'll see how it goes. Speaking of racing and getting out there on track, if you haven't heard or seen anything about it, the iRace ANZ chat show, great blokes those two, Trent and Scott, that run that one and put it on and talk all things sim and real motorsport each time around. It is broadcast live as they record it on a Tuesday night as well, so it does run concurrently to us here. Look, we could consider it competition, but honestly, it's all in the name of exposure for Australian sim racing, which is always a good thing. They are putting on a broadcaster battle, and I can confirm that Simple Racing Broadcast will be participating. You will see me behind the wheel, and that is a very scary thing. There is a photo that I quite regularly like to bring out when people ask me about me going racing, which is over the top of Skyline, upside down in a Porsche GTE, and I reckon that's pretty representative of my racing, just as a general rule. So if you want to see something a little bit unusual and perhaps not quite the quality of racing that you're used to seeing from these broadcasts, keep an eye out for that broadcaster battle when it happens a little bit later on this year. No date set just yet, but I'm keen to get out there and try and represent Simple and maybe finish up there somewhere. I know our good friends over at Trackspot TV will be taking part, George and possibly John getting in on that. I know you're still trying to decide who it is you're going to race under in terms of
I don't think anyone wants me.
Mate, I don't know. Simple. Absolutely.
I think I've been told by a number of people that I'm not technically employed by anyone. I'm actually just a contractor. So maybe I'll just race for myself. But mercenary for hire, I think, is the term I used earlier when speaking to George, which I think is has a great ring to it. But no, what I like about that series, what they're doing with that as well, Jared, is they're asking for community broadcasters. So people that usually are racing in the series that we commentate to step up and to broadcast that series and that race for us, which I think is fantastic because it lets us have a go at the other side of it, which is driving the car, because we sit here in a booth and talk about, oh, well, you should do this and you should do that, and tell them how to drive a car. So now we get to actually put our money where our mouth is and have a crack, but they also get the opportunity to get in the booth and see just what it is that you and I do in here and how it look. It's probably maybe not as hard as driving a car, but it's still pretty difficult. There is still a lot to it.
There is, absolutely. And look, I had a lot of fun last time I jumped in one and left the broadcasting to others to have a chat about. And yeah, looking forward to doing it again. A bit of a change, of course, in the setup for this evening's racing. We're down to just a single race now after the issues with the setup of the session. So rather than a 15 and 45, we will have a single 50-lap race that lies ahead. Brad Hayes just keeping us up to date in the chat. Thank you, mate. I am going to assume that the 2 compulsory pit stops are still in play. I haven't heard otherwise just yet. But I would imagine that will stay in play. And of course, a bit hard to do a reverse top 5 grid when you don't have a first race to reverse it from.
A little bit.
So we'll just take that as it stands from qualifying. So we'll get some qualifying coverage anyhow, and get to have a bit of a look at that here this evening for a change. And then we'll be into a 50-lap race here this evening, so just a little bit longer than race 2 was originally planned for, but good distance around Adelaide, and certainly going to keep them on their toes here tonight. Thanks for sticking with us, folks. I do appreciate it very much while we wait out the reset of this session. And for those who have just joined us, we were due to get underway at the usual time. Unfortunately, a bit of a problem with the fixed setups for one of the car models and not the other meant that we did have to have a new session created. So that's all been done. We are back up and ready to go into qualifying in about 4 minutes time. We'll get into the qualifying session. Now, I believe it's still a lone qualifying session, but strange things have happened. It does look to be lone qualifying though, from what I can see here. And there's 2 laps in 10 minutes for these drivers to set, so we'll get a pretty good idea of just what pace is in these cars once we do get into that qualifying session. We were seeing, around the minute 20 mark from a lot of the drivers the first time out, and Matty Morgan is calling it, and we'll be up at stupid o'clock as always, mate. Good to have you along regardless, and get yourself some sleep or something, eh? It's probably useful.
Yes, sleep does help. I have heard that is useful for the function of the human body. So go get some rest, Matty Morgan, and I'm sure you'll be able to catch up on all the... That's the beauty of YouTube and live streaming, isn't it? We can go back and watch it later. Not that we don't want you to watch it live, but sleep is important. So this will be here for you, Matty Morgan, to watch back, and it's going to be a cracker of a race, 50 laps. As you said, there's no reverse top 5. So what happens with the race? It's only one. You've only got one shot at it this evening, and whether they combine the points or they stick with a single points race and just go with the points for the feature race, I'm not sure. There's many questions. However, the action will be aplenty. I believe last time we were here, Jared, we did a 75 lap race, which is still a fair distance around this circuit. So it's going to be interesting. It's a long race. 45 laps is already a long time, just over an hour. These guys are going to be doing 50 laps, which is probably an hour 10, hour 15.
Closer to an hour and a half, really, when you consider pit stops, potential safety cars. Yeah, it's on track to be a fair effort. Like an hour and a half of driving supercars is no mean feat, and particularly, like I said this when we were looking at the hot lap earlier, this circuit is actually a really tough one as a driver. That staircase section requires so much attention to nail it each and every time, and then to do it under pressure with other cars around you is just a whole other kettle of fish. And it's not a circuit that I love racing because of that. It's mentally very, very demanding. You really don't get a huge amount of time where you can kind of relax. There's that first part of the back straight is probably about as good as it gets, but then you've got to really nail that high-speed right-hander, get right in against the inside of the apex and then right out to the wall without actually hitting the wall, so you don't bleed any speed off before you get down to the hairpin. And then as you come back through to the start-finish line, that entire final sector it's just really awkward. It really does test you as a driver, and for these guys to do it for 50 laps here, yeah, they're going to be working hard for it tonight.
I feel like that's an understatement. I've done laps around here in a Porsche Cup car that has, well, it's not supposed to have traction control and ABS, but on iRacing it does. So having all those aids, and it's still a struggle to pull the car up at this circuit. So doing it in a supercar for 50 laps is going to be a long time. 3.21 kilometers in length, the circuit, which means that you're doing, well, by the time we get to the end of the race, you'll have done 160 kilometers of driving, roughly. So give or take a kilometer or here and there. But that is a long distance behind the wheel of a race car to do in one hit.
It's not quite the same as heading from Brisbane up to the Sunshine Coast on the M1 on the Gateway, and then
No,
up on the Bruce Highway. Just set the cruise control and you're good. No, it's a little bit more
can't
involved.
do that
than
here. Yeah. A bit more turning time at this circuit, I think, than the M1 from Brisbane to the Sunshine Coast.
Just a touch more. Although,
Just a touch
side note, while we're, it looks like we've actually got 15 minutes of quali, so we've probably got another 5 minutes or so before quali starts. Sorry, 15 minutes of practice session. Interesting observation I made. And this is entirely unrelated to iRacing. Now we're going to take a little bit of a tangent while we do wait for qualifying to get underway. Forza Horizon 6. So I've been playing a bit of that since it came out. The last week or so, I think it was. Almost exactly a week ago, I reckon. It hit Game Pass, and I thought I'd jump in and have a bit of muck around with it. It tickles the arcade part of the brain. It's certainly nowhere near as rewarding as a full-blown sim race, but a bit of fun. They've added this fun little auto drive thing to it, so instead of having to drive yourself from place to place to get to each of the races or the events or whatever, you can just set it in auto drive and then press a button and have a nice little cinematic camera that will follow you along. It's pretty cool. Discovered today you can actually use that auto drive in a race session. So you can start the race and turn on auto drive and let it drive for you. And what's more, it's actually pretty good at driving. It might even be faster than me. So that was interesting.
No.
I'm going to play around with that some more over the next couple of days. Let me know if you've had any experience with that out there, folks. If you've had a play around with that, it's an interesting way to approach your racing. But you know what? It's Forza. It's not a sim. It's very much arcade. So I don't feel the least bit bad about doing it in that format.
I think it's very interesting, isn't it? We talk about all the modern aids that you get in a car these days. I never thought for once that self-driving and the technology they put in Teslas would come to Forza, and you can just let it do your... Imagine a race car where they all just pressed the button and the car just drove around the circuit for them and they just sat behind the wheel. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? But I guess if it's faster, then it makes sense, let it do its thing. Maybe I need to invest in that technology. Maybe I need to invest in that technology for the broadcaster battle so that I'm actually relatively quick. That's
not a bad idea.
Maybe I can talk to the Forza devs if I just send them a little email and say, hey, can you tell me how I can put this in iRacing so that I can do not terrible. I keep going straight line.
Look, I haven't seen any confirmation on the broadcast battle as to what exactly it's going to be. But I have a feeling that you should not be expecting traditional racing. I reckon there'll be a feature race that is a bit more traditional, standard GT3s or whatever around a well-known track. But I'm tipping, knowing Trent and Scott over at iRacing Chat Show, I'm tipping that they've got something in mind like MX-5s around a dirt oval or
brilliant
mini stocks around the Nürburgring or something like that. Just absolute boneheaded ideas that are just going to be a hoot to watch and to be a part of. And on top of that, I reckon there's a fair chance that some of us broadcasters won't take it perhaps as seriously as some of the races here tonight take this round, and then there might be a little bit more underhanded tactics at play. I've also heard some whispers that there might be the opportunity to make a donation to a charitable cause to have a penalty applied to your driver of choice during the event as well. So we'll see if that comes to pass. I'm just sitting here thinking about I'm sitting here thinking about all the people that I might have upset over the last 12 months with my commentary on their driving or on their favourite track that I can't stand or whatever the case may be. I reckon there's a few people out there that might consider dipping the hand in the pocket to make my life miserable. But you know what? If it's for charity, it's all for a good cause. We'll see how that all plans out anyway as the announcements come out.
Just ticking off in my head all the drivers' names that I've said incorrectly over the last 12 months and who might decide to let me know that they were super appreciative of that by...
Yeah, Phil Manuel is in here tonight racing.
Phil Manuel,
isn't he? There you go, yeah.
Yep. Dan Yeaman might. Dan the Dave Meister Yeaman might.
The Dave Meister Yeaman. Yep.
Dan the Dave Meister Yeaman might throw some cash to get me penalised as well. Look, but it's all in good fun. It's all for charity if that is the way they decide to go. But at the end of the day, as you said, I don't think too many of us are going to take that very, very seriously. It's going to be a fun night, as is Thursday night. Thursday night will be a lot of fun, and I'm sure that'll be a brilliant call in the booth. I believe Dean Beals-Hopton is jumping in the booth with you for that one, potentially still Jared. So that could be a good night for the two of you, calling some supercars on an oval, and look out for me aiming for Ryan Palmer, because that is exactly what I'm going to do, and he knows that. So
we're actually going to be joined, because you know full well that I am not an oval expert by any stretch of the imagination. We're actually going to be joined by someone who knows a bit more about that. Boone Blake is coming in all the way from the USA to say hello and to actually give us some decent oval knowledge. So we'll get some better input from him than you'll get from me on oval racing, I suspect, which is going to be helpful. Qualifying now underway. We're back into this. I thought it might be a good time for everyone to actually be able to see some cars out on track now, as we have the drivers on their outlaps and getting ready to hit up their first run at this. Troy Stonestreet, of course, your championship leader at present. So we'll see what he can do first time around. Probably the first driver who's going to actually start their hot lap will be Stephen Varga. He's just on his way out of the final turn now. Ernie Toth not too far behind. This is lone qualifying, folks, so we won't see other drivers on track at the same time. But rest assured, everybody is out there, with the exception actually of Brad Hayes, who was in the chat earlier. But there we go, he's just jumped into the car now, so he's on his way out there to try and get himself a qualifying time. Fingers crossed he can get around cleanly. Stephen Varga leading the way at the moment. You can see just how finely balanced the car needs to be through this staircase. He's not getting a chance to really push super hard. And of course, he's bringing these tyres up to temp as well, so the second lap will be perhaps a little more aggressive once he sets in that first banked lap time. He can then afford to push on a little bit for lap number 2. G'day, James. Good to have you along, mate. Welcome on in. Thank you very much. We do try and put on a decent-looking broadcast if we can, even if it does mean Isaac and I occasionally having to fill a half hour while we get some issues corrected with the session. But you know what? I reckon we do all right, mate.
No, we can talk with the best of them. I think we've
talk.
It feels like with the mouths full. Yeah, absolutely. We can. I can talk underwater with my mouth full. That's something I've been told ever since I was young. But that's why I got into commentary in the first place. And now, finally, after an extended period, we get cars across the line to get an understanding of what we're going to look for lap time. So. 1:21.4, but that's immediately eclipsed by a number of drivers, including Ray Smith. Jason Bentz goes to the top with a 20.7. Ray Smith, the first Chevy driver into the 20s this evening, shows exactly what you can do when you have the right setup on, Jared.
Yeah, it makes a bit of a difference when you're not running a wet Fuji setup, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Stonestreet had to come back into the pits by the look of things. So this is going to be interesting. I don't think he's actually completed a full lap. A full outlap here. He might only get one shot at a full lap though, after having to return, I believe. He's certainly not recorded a time that time around, so he's going to have to push on really hard. This is going to be crucial. He's not under a lot of pressure with Allman not being here tonight. The pressure is certainly off Stonestreet this evening, but if he doesn't set a qualifying time, Adelaide's one of those circuits where it is insanely difficult to get a pass done. And if he has to fight his way through the entire pack, granted it's a slightly smaller pack tonight than what we've seen in previous rounds. We've got 23 drivers, if my count is correct, who'll be out there. But if Stonestreet finds himself at the back of those 23, he puts himself at a massive disadvantage in what is now a single race tonight. He's going to have to fight his way all the way back to the front, because, of course, if he does finish down the bottom, sure, Luke Allman's not here to pick up any points, but it does mean that the number of points that Stonestreet can get here this evening is greatly reduced. So we'll have to wait and see. Craig Rose has not had a particularly successful qualifying lap. And,
That's a bit broken.
And
just for good measure.
Lights it up on the way into the pit bay, into the pit lane. So that's probably going to be Rosie's qualifying efforts done. Stone Street, let's see what he's got up the sleeve. It's not going to be a particularly quick time. It's a 22.1, which is still good enough for 6th. But yeah, look, he was probably hoping for a little bit more. I don't know. I think he's done with his laps now.
It does look
that way. So yeah, that's pretty well qualifying done and dusted for everybody now. Brett Horsell pulls it up after finishing his final lap. Abel Verban just bringing it to a stop as well. Trav Daly comes across the line and sets his time at 17th. So yeah, look, it's not been the times that a lot of them probably would have liked to see. Rick Vigar, the last driver, still out on track at the moment, and he has just set a reasonable time. Actually, finds himself just at the back end of the top 10. So yeah, not a bad outcome for Rick at all. As we wait now on the finish of the session, Brad Hayes and Andrew Hoffman, the only 2 drivers who have not set a time at this point. So we'll see. Look, I don't think either have a spare lap up their sleeve at the moment. They're just going to have to wait out the last few minutes of this qualifying session. And,
I guess that's the thing, isn't it, for both Hoffman and Hayes? There's only limited laps. You get 2 lone laps around this circuit. You invalidate that lap even at the start. It's so easy to cut that chicane and get yourself a slow down. Lap is invalidated. You do that on both your laps and they're gone. You have nothing. So there's only limited opportunity for these drivers to get a lap in. For some of these drivers, I believe lap 1 was the only one that they were able to achieve a time on, or they only got one of those 2 laps because they invalidated the other one. So you're trying to find a limit of that chicane, maximize your run through turns 1, 2, and 3, but at the same time, not invalidate your time by taking too much. And it's not the first chicane or the first corner, it's the second phase of that chicane. So turn 2, when you turn back towards the right-hand side, that's when you sort of, too many cars are just using a bit too much of that curb, and the game is very black and white about that, as they are in real life with the supercars in the main game. They are very black and white about that curb usage. So it's caught a few drivers out, and it seems that Brad Hayes, Andrew Hoffman not setting a time in this session, and by the looks of it, a few drivers stopping before they got to complete their second lap or coming back into the pit lane and only setting 1 time in this session. Good news though, Chevrolet drivers, we have a number of them in the top 10. There is, just a quick eyeball, there's 6 cars inside, or 6 Chevys inside the top 10, which means that the setup has been correctly applied this time, and those cars are looking much quicker, which is brilliant because the gap between pole, as we'll see very, very soon, I'm sure, Jared, is very close.
You know what it sounds like to me, Isaac? It sounds like parody. If we can do it here, come on, supercars, get your act together.
Someone say Peter Alton.
The top 10 are very, very well balanced indeed from what we can see. A couple minutes left to go in the session before we get underway. Brad Hayes reporting some net issues, not bet issues. I was worried a little bit there that somewhere there were bets being able to be placed on the ASR league that I wasn't aware of.
Dangerous.
I could have been making money off this all season, I reckon.
Oh.
No, there's absolutely no way I would have called the way this season's gone. We look back on, 8 rounds down, 2 rounds to go, including tonight. It's been a very, very different season compared to the one prior, with no Wayne Walker dominating each and every week. There really has been a real mixed bag of race winners and decent positions from drivers that we haven't seen a lot of. I think the standout for me, and again tonight, from what I'm seeing in the qualifying results so far, the standout dark horse has been James Hardy, who almost all season has been running in Cup Trophy class up in the top 10 or 12 drivers pretty consistently. Some great qualifying times from him throughout, and that's not to take anything away from Abel Verban or indeed Brett Horsell, who are really challenging for the top of that Cup Trophy class as we get towards the end of the season. But yeah, James Hardy has absolutely stepped his game up for quantum racing this season. It's been great to see.
It has. He has been doing a brilliant job at really performing above a level that you would probably to ordinarily expect from a trophy cup class driver, which take nothing away from him and his performance. Has been spectacular, but more often than not in seasons gone past, we've seen the pro guys at the top of the tree, and then it gets a bit lower down, and outside that top 10 is the trophy cup guys, and he's been in the top 10 consistently, which has been brilliant. I'll tell you another thing, it's been great to see the turn of form for Jason Bentz, winning both races last week and this week in the box seat on pole position. So looking with a strong chance of taking another victory here tonight, making it 3 in a row. But Ray Smith is close to him in qualifying.
Yeah, very, very close. This is how they end up after the qualifying session. Bentz and Smith will take the front row ahead of Borg and Manuel. Then Point and Stone Street line up ahead of Hardy and Varga, with Verban and Vigar rounding out your top 10. Further back through the field, it's Horsell and Burns ahead of Vigar and Sippel. That's Chad Vigar, not Rick. Ernie Toss and Andrew Listener on row 8. Then Ash Hall and Trav Daly, with Scott Perrins and Craig Rose rounding out your top 20. Behind them, Jason Dunn is the last driver to set a qualifying time. Andrew Hoffman and Brad Hayes not setting a time. Hopefully we'll see both of them start the race at the beginning here this evening, and if not, then hopefully they can get underway shortly after, and Brad might be off doing a bit of a reboot on his PC to try and get it up and running again. Lucas Burt and Todd Martin in race control tonight. Hopefully we can get away without needing to see the Chubby Buns Porsche out on track. But this being Adelaide, I don't like our chances a great deal, honestly, Isaac.
No, I don't think the drivers will be hoping so, but we know I'm a big fan of a safety car, Jared, but I know the 50 laps of green running at Adelaide will be exhausting. They will be hoping for a supercar, safety car, just to break that up so that there's a bit of a chance for them to reset and breathe. They do not want to be running green flag for 50 laps at this circuit, especially. Safety cars can change the strategy. If we get an early safety car here, what could drivers do? Could they try and get one of their compulsory pit stops out of the way early? How big of a factor is fuel going to play in this race? We don't quite know yet, but I think we're going to get some answers very, very shortly once the green flag drops.
Yeah, just waiting on the last few drivers to get out there. Jason Bentz, notably, not on the grid yet, in pole position. A bit of a hole in the middle there for Rick Vigar and Brett Horsell. Jason Dunn not on the grid yet either, with Andrew Hoffman and Brad Hayes still yet to show up at the back of the field. So fingers very firmly crossed that we do get everyone out there in time for the start of the race. We've probably got about 40 odd seconds, I'd say, before we hand over to the starter, as we see a couple more jump in. Rick Vigar and Brett Horsell in 10th, 11th, taking their positions. Andrew Hoffman and Jason Dunn now on the grid. It's only Brad Hayes remaining. Look, with the net issues that he's telling us about in the chat, it doesn't bode well for him tonight, does it?
No, it does not. So I'm hopeful that he's going to be here, but there's a chance that we may not see him in this one. But we are not too far away from going green flags. So he hasn't got a lot of time left if he does want to grid up for this race.
Well, we are getting a green flag waved at the back of the field. We're about to go racing here, about to go under starters' orders for what will now be a single race event here this evening. 50 laps lie ahead, 2 compulsory pit stops still in amongst that, and a whole lot of action to come between here and crowning our winner here in Adelaide for the penultimate round of the Alliance Sim Racing Solagard St. Gobain Supercar Championship. Here we go, folks. We are under starters' orders. The engines are on, the revs come up, you can see the flames shooting out the side of the car as we get ready to go racing, and we are underway as Jason Bentz leads us down towards the centre chicane for the very first time, as everyone tries to get it sorted before we do get on into it. And here we go, up and over for the first time. We're going to see side by side through the chicane as all of the cars come through, still in that starting grid lineup. Jason Bentz picks up an early slowdown, cutting that chicane just a little bit too far, and in the background Troy Sippel goes around and starts to drop down through the placings all the way to the back of the field. It's Bentz, Borg and Smith out in front, Phil Manuel and Mark Point behind them, Troy Stone Street, then Stephen Varga with Verban and Hardy battling it out in the Cup Trophy class at the back end of the top 10. We are well and truly into our running order as we make our way down the back straight for the first time. Now, I didn't take a look, I must admit, at the race briefing beforehand, but I reckon there's been a fair bit said about going side by side through this corner here. You can see that these guys are very much on the limit already as we come through. Lap 1 of 50, and nobody wants to waste any time at all. It's Benz and Borg out in front. Abel Verban starting to look to make a move. He's side by side now with James Hardy as they move ahead of Rick Vigar, and the battle's already starting to shape up as we get underway here at Adelaide.
Yeah, I didn't see anything in the briefing about side-by-side through Turn 8, but we spoke about this last season, Joe. There is a gentleman's agreement at Turn 8 with all series that you do not go side-by-side. The car that is ahead will get track position, key track position through Turn 8, and realistically, you're not going to get the move done there anyway. The Turn 9 is where you want to set yourself up for, but at the moment, Jason Benson looked a bit maybe like he was going to lose the lead to Brian Borg there with that slowdown on lap 1, but he's reset himself, he's reset it, he's moving up the order, and Phil Manuel down the inside on Ray Smith, so gets that done. Well done to Phil Manuel. That is a brilliant overtake under the heavy braking zone at turn 4, and now Ray Smith continues to fall down the order, so 2 spots lost since the start of this one. Goes from front row back to 4th place. Mark Poynton and Troy Stonestreet, 2 very fast drivers in behind him as well, looking to get something done. And well, can they do it at turn 8 now on the exit? So no Brad Hayes, unfortunately, in this one. It says he is out and will be down a lap, so Brad Hayes not being able to take the start of this race, which is very, very unfortunate because he was looking strong in the first qualifying session. But
what is even more unfortunate is that he did actually get into the session and managed to head on out from the pit lane, but looks as though that his net issues have returned, and so he's had to pull the pin. That's going to be absolutely brutally disappointing.
Devastating, yeah,
for Brad. He loves this track. I'm certain of it. And look, let's face it, most of the drivers do here. And yeah, being unable to compete because of internet issues, it's it's certainly frustrating. It does look though like Brad Hayes might still be connected. He's occasionally popping up here and there, as though he's getting around the circuit. So I'm not quite sure what's going on. He's definitely having some network connection issues. I don't know that he's going to manage to actually stay in this race very long before iRacing slaps him with the ping flag and sends him back to the pits. But we will see how that goes. Starting to settle in now. Andrew Hoffman gets the move up the inside alongside Scott Perrins, very, very sideways on the exit as he tries to defend it. A bit of collision there, and Hoffman will just back on out of that one. And in the background, look at Trav Daly getting absolutely pushed around by Jason Dunn in 20th place. So battles on for young and old right throughout this field. Hoffman's going to look for another opportunity here. It's actually Ash Hall, sorry, not Scotty Perrins, that he's been bumping doors with through that section. Full speed through there, just a little bit of a lift off. Into the wall goes Ash Hall. You see the sparks fly. That's going to cost him some pace. It's not going to be quite enough. Take a look in the background. Trav Daly has a big look as he defends on the inside from Jason Dunn while still considering a move on Scott Perrins. Out in front, Jason Benson, Brian Ball. Starting to open up a bit of a gap. The 1-2 duo, Phil Manuel will have some work to do to try and catch up to them now, but that gap's starting to really open up, and Brian Ball just holding on to the back end of Jason Bentz.
Yeah, he's trying to stay with him, but Jason Bentz continues to go fastest once again. 21-1, the fast lap of the race so far. We are only on lap 4, and 3 laps completed, but that is still pretty quick, close to what we were seeing in qualifying. They were in the 20s in qualifying, so not too far away from those quality times. Phil Manuel trying to keep up with these guys, but just not able to. Now side by side, Trav Daly, Scotty Perrins. Trav Daly's actually gone past, so Scotty Perrins travelling quite slowly there, trying to clear that slowdown. So yeah. I think he was trying to clear a slowdown potentially. I didn't see anything next to his name, but that is always a potential. Andrew Hoffman and Andrew Listener both into the lane, so the two Andrews deciding that now is the time to come into the pits. Maybe a little bit of damage on those cars that they need to clear. This might explain what has happened. Oh, big moment there for Troy Sipple, and then spins the car, and everyone's done a very good job to avoid him here. That is a huge moment for Sips. Gets the car flicked around and moving once again, but there is damage on the front of that thing.
There is, and he'll be carrying that for now. I do wonder, I think that was Jason Dunn he was getting tangled up with there by the look of things, and I wonder if there's going to be a penalty issued for that one, or if it's just a little bit of an unfortunate case of people trying to occupy the same bit of track space. I didn't really get a good look at it from that particular angle, but we'll wait and see if we get an update from race control on anything that might have been looked at there. Ray Smith defending 4th at the moment from Mark Poynton. who is right in there. Sips comes in, Troy Sipple into the pit lane, so he's looking to get that to get that damage repaired. Have a look at this. Chad Viger, Ash Hall, Trav Daly, all picking up slowdowns, and that's absolutely a feature of racing at Adelaide. You'll see that little yellow flag come up next to the timing tower. That means a driver has been issued a slowdown for cutting a corner, and we see it over and over and over again with that first centre chicane there. It's just what happens here at Adelaide. There are more slowdowns here than just about anywhere else, with the possible exception. I can test my memory now. I can picture the track. I want to say it's Spanish track, Italian track, that always has heaps of slowdowns in the background. That's Troy Stone Street just overcooking it a little bit and losing some time there. Stephen Varga will take advantage and close it behind him. Scott Perrins, meanwhile, has had a bit of a moment somewhere further back. He doesn't look to be too damaged, but he finds himself all on his lonesome as a result. But yeah, there's absolutely one other track that does end up with more slowdowns than this, but it's the only one that I'd put ahead of Adelaide in terms of frequency of slowdowns, as Jason Bentz picks one up out in front. Now this is an opportunity for Brian Borg. Bentz is going to do everything he can to block the racing line up here without falling foul of the stewards while he tries desperately to clear that slowdown. He's going to run out of time very, very quickly if he's not careful. And down the main straight here is not an ideal time to be clearing it either, but it gives him plenty of time to just try and balance it out. There goes Brian Borg. Jason Bentz still, there we go, he's just cleared it now, so you can see how much time he's lost there. And that's why the drivers have to be so careful.
It has to be a big cut for this slowdown clear to be that long. I don't think typically it takes that long to get rid of a slowdown, even at the pace he was going, so he must have fallen quite foul of the iRacing stewards if he had a slowdown that was that large that he needed to clear. So that's costing the race lead, and Brian Borg assumes control of the field. The other thing I was going to comment about these slowdowns that the drivers get, if you're in a tight train like this and one person in front of you does slightly get it wrong and will, get a slowdown, it's quite easy for the cars behind to also follow suit, because all you're trying to do is follow the car in front of you at this stage, and you can see a 3 or 4 cars in a queue all get a tandem slowdown and have to serve that all at the same time, which is frustrating, because if you're the car behind, you want that opportunity where the car in front of you gets slowed down to try and capitalise, as Brian Borg did, to get a position. So the other thing you'll see, drivers building gaps, working really hard to pull away from a car behind, building out a second and a half, even 2 seconds, then getting a slowdown, which means that unfortunately that's all going to be thrown away because all your hard work has come undone. Got a little bit too greedy at the centre chicane, turns 1, 2 and 3. At the moment, Brian Borg leads the way. We are on lap 7, so starting to get into the race now. Not really any major race distance, but we are starting to get into the swing of things. Jason Dunn into the lane for his stop. This will show what happened to Scotty Perrins and why he was down the order. This is coming into turn 6, massive slide out of 7.
Just a clip of that inside curb. What an awkward space to be turned around though. It's a 17
very
point turn.
Austin Powers it.
Yeah.
And that inside curb at 7 is really easy to clip and to rotate a car on, so not surprised that unfortunately that has happened. It's very easy to do, but after his 17-point turn, he has now got underway again.
And then this is Jason Dunn not too long after that, all in his own. He's got a little bit of damage to the front right already, but you can see under brakes there, just nudges, just ever so slightly runs over that outside curb, and it puts just enough pressure on his braking effort that he actually locks up and goes straight into that tyre barrier. Not a lot of damage done, thankfully, but he had to come in and get it repaired, so there's obviously enough that he felt it was worth coming in for that first compulsory stop. Abel Fairbairn's still right there with James Hardy and Brett Horsell just a little bit further back. These three battling it out for the Cup Trophy at the end of season, and there is nothing to separate them here tonight either. James Hardy doing his best to hold on. Abel Verban throwing everything at him. Stephen Varga up the road just watching his teammate in the rear view and just willing him on at the moment. Now Jason Bentz looking for a move up the inside of Brian Borg into the hairpin. He's going to send it very, very deep under brakes. Gets it done easily. Can he get it rotated and going again? Borg responds immediately. A better line through the corner. Gets the pace up, but once Bentz is in front, very, very hard to get back through in any kind of under-over fashion through that corner. So Brian Borg's going to have to just sit in behind and wait for another opportunity.
Yeah, and he'll have to be patient. He knows he has the pace. He can put the pressure on Bence. Maybe put a pressure on him. He's a mistake. There we go. A little bit loose on the final corner for Jason Bence. That's going to be great for Brian Borg to try and stay with him here. Put some pressure on through the centre chicane now. And the last thing you want if you're Jason Bence is a slowdown right there. And then coming up to where Jason Dunn unfortunately got it wrong. I do coin that the term doing a Ryan Palmer. Ryan Palmer did that when we were here last season in season 7. Went straight into the barrier just like that. That unfortunately Jason Dunn did. So he's done a Ryan Palmer, got that car fixed, back out on circuit now, albeit in last place, but has served that first compulsory stop. We could get a safety car. You never know before this race is over. Brian Borg not able to, well, he's still keeping with Jason Bence here, but there was no slowdown for Bence there. He actually had a really nice run through the first chicane. Mark Poynton now finally making a move on Ray Smith off the exit of 7 down before they even get to turn 8. It is done. So no gentleman's agreement required because that's already sorted before they even get to the entry of turn 8. And that is a position gain finally for Mark Poynton, who's been working on that one for quite a while. Trav Daly all over the back of Ash Hall. Could he go for a move here? And Stoner has to think about it, shows the nose. This is bold. I thought he was going to go for that there, Jared.
I honestly, I wouldn't have put money that he wasn't going to go alongside, but looks up the inside. Ash Hall gives him plenty of room. Trav Daly clearly carrying a lot of speed, but Ash Hall reverses it, tries to get back up alongside. Daly shuts the door and will secure 15th place for the moment. It's yeah, look, it's there's a couple of little battles going on around the place. Again, what you're seeing here tonight, it's really, really tough to get a pass done. Mark Poynton had been working on the pass on Ray Smith for ages, and now Troy Stone Street is looking to do the same. He's staying well inside. Ray Smith locks it up, sends it up the escape road, and in the end, Troy Stone Street just waltzes on through. Ray Smith finds himself dropping down through the order as he tries to get it spun around and back out of that escape road, and he finds himself all the way down into 12th, which is a real shame. He had such a strong qualifying effort and a great start, but it's come undone a bit there. Thankfully, he's still got 40 laps to try and get it sorted and get back up towards the top.
Yeah, plenty of time, possibly a safety car to come as well, which means that, again, that's going to close the field up. So those drivers that are making mistakes here, it's not the end of the world. That car is still very straight for Ray Smith. There's no major damage on that thing. Maybe a little bit of a mark on the tyre, but again, there's not really any flat spots in iRacing, so there's nothing to worry about. Oh, there's a bit of contact with the wall there. That's what slowed him up on the exit of 7. The contact with the outside wall, and then Mark Poynton was right there ready to capitalise into 8. So had that move done before they even did get down to turn 8. James Hardy in 7th place with Abel Verben riding behind him. Brian Borg still riding behind Jason Bence, putting that pressure on, and that's exactly what he needs to do. Just remind Jason Bence that he's there. Don't let him get away too much. He put that pressure on earlier on, and that resulted in a mistake for Bence into the centre chicane, which meant that he had that slowdown that he served. So Borg needs to bide his time here. It's still early on in this race. A slowdown for Paul Burns, and he's got a bit of breathing room to Ernie Toth, which means that he'll try and get rid of that as quickly as possible to not lose too much time to the car in front, which is Rick Vigar. He's battling to get into the top 10, but Brian Borg can afford just to be a bit patient here, sit in behind, maybe save a little bit of fuel, look after those tyres, prolong his stints, because he could go, if we stay green here, maybe the undercut would be the way to go here, or even just having to put less fuel in at pit stops could mean that the difference between him getting out in front of Jason Bence.
Yeah, and it's a tricky proposition at this point, isn't it? Because any safety car that we get from here on is going to have a massive impact in compressing the field. So both Bence and Borg will be running the gauntlet here in trying to decide when they come in for that first stop. Look at Bence trying to get the power down so hard, so early, slides it out of that final corner, and that's allowed Borg to close that gap even further. It's a real gamble. You know, you've got to get 2 compulsory pit stops done. You're going to have to come in and make at least 1 stop here tonight anyway. I haven't done the numbers on the fuel, but a 60% fuel limit means that you're absolutely going to need at least 1 fuel stop here this evening. I don't know. I think it's probably a case of trying to extend this first session as long as you feel you can out of the tyres and the fuel that you've got on board. And if a safety car happens, then maybe come in. But otherwise, after you get that first stop out of the way, you're really going to have to watch and wait for the potential for a future safety car as well. Craig Rose having some issues just coming out of the back end of the track, and it looks like he is just trying to get it back up to pace now as a few drivers go through. Hoffman, Vargar and Listener. Ray Smith, big lock-up again. That front left might have taken a bit more damage in that collision with the wall than it first looked like, because he continues to lock up the front left under heavy braking.
Well, in the words of Ryan Palmer, you don't need fronts anyway. I can see he's floating around in the chat doing a rain dance. I think you'll be dancing for a while if you're doing a rain dance, because it is nice and sunny here at the Adelaide Street Circuit. This is Chad Vigar on our screen putting some pressure on Andrew Hoffman for 15th place. So Chad, a little bit of a touch of the wall there for a number of drivers. They get very, very close to the concrete here at Adelaide. Nothing left in it for pretty much every single one of these drivers on a number of corners around here. And sitting in behind is actually Andrew Listener as well. So both Andrews, Hoffman and Listener came into the pits early on in this race, got a stop out of the way early, and now Hoffman leads the cars that have stopped so far. So the bottom group of cars here from Hoffman down have actually stopped in this race already, except for Craig Rose. Craig Rose is the only car in that pack that is yet to stop. So what they're doing here is trying to set themselves up with the ability to move forward in this field by going for a big undercut. That's a spun car.
Trav Daly just got away with that.
That is
Paul
Burns. It was one of the 801 sim cars, trying to work out which one it was, but Trav Daly, that was almost disastrous for both Paul Burns and Trav Daly. He's done very well to not only keep it out of the front bar of Paul Burns, but also the wall on the outside of turn 4, which he also almost found himself in. Here we go. This is what happened for Trav Daly. Watch this on board, folks. It's just, there's going to be a car come out of nowhere in about 3, 2, 1. That is terrifying at race speed, and Trav Daly may need to change a race suit at the next pit stop. That was just absolutely out of nowhere. Snuck up on him. That was a huge, huge moment. Could have been a massive incident.
Brilliant reaction, though, from Daly to not go into the nose of Paul Burns. That was about as close as it gets without making contact. Brilliant work. I see some damage there to what looks like it might be Craig Rose or Ash Hall pulling off to the side of the road in the background. And that is indeed Craig Rose, who's had a bit of a moment somewhere else. Luke Orman in the chat letting us know that he should be back for the last round of Bathurst. Mate, that is good to hear.
Yes.
Disappointing to see you missing tonight, mate, but we will see you back for Bathurst. That's going to be a great way to finish off the season for sure. That was a close one. Brian Borg, here we go, up the inside. Jason Bentz not letting him go easily, just taps him on the way through to remind him that he's let him have that space. And Brian Borg goes back to in first. We are going to see that move a few times tonight between these two as they continue on.
It's going to keep going.
Despite the battling back and forth, they've opened up even further. It's 3.5 seconds to mark point.
And then Bentz is in. There we go. So Bentz has decided it's time for a pit stop, dives into the lane, and will go for the first of his 2 compulsory pit stops this evening. 14 laps in to the race. Brian Ball will push on. Luke Allman saying so. Only one race. Oh, yes. So for those of you just tuning in that didn't catch what happened during the broadcast, you missed our brilliant half-an-hour podcast that we did, our impromptu ASR Simple Racing Broadcast podcast that we started this evening because unfortunately all the Chevys were on the wet setup from Fuji, which when you're at a street circuit, safety car. So a safety car has been called, and we'll get to the bottom of what that's for. But when you're at a street circuit, Jared, the last thing you want is a wet setup for a fast-flowing Japanese circuit, and that is off the road.
That's Craig Rose. So
Craig
Rose we saw earlier go off into the kitty litter there, and it's taken a moment for the safety car to be called. I reckon that was just brilliantly cheeky timing from Jason Bentz to come in just after Borg had made that pass. I reckon he's heard the call from Rosie on the radio asking for the tow at some point, and he has decided to make the most of it, come in just ahead of the safety car coming out. Now Brian Borg comes in to serve his first pit stop, but Phil Manuel, the effective leader of those who have made their stops so far, which is yeah, an interesting position for us to be in at this point. Rick Vigar coming around the final turn. He'll come into the pits. Ernie Toth, I'm sure, will do the same. Somewhere out there, Lucas Burt is waiting for the field to catch up to him because everyone has come into the pits. Everyone who hadn't already been has come into the pits to try and make the most of this safety car period. And now Phil Manuel looks like he's actually likely to cruise past everyone who's in there at the moment and pick up the front end of the field. And the undercut, as always, super strong in these Gen 3 supercars.
He flew under the radar. He dived in just a lap or two before Jason Bentz.
Jason Bentz just
so
sneaks past Brian
Just gets past him. There you go. And that's the undercut. So Jason Bentz is absolutely pushed on that outlap. But looking as Phil Manuel came in the lap before Jason Bentz, so lap 13 is when he decided to come into the pits. And those 2 laps of fresher tyres and clean air have proven detrimental to Brian Borg, who's now dropped from first to third. Jason Bentz will remain in second after all this, so doesn't gain in the grand scheme of things, although Brian Borg is now behind him. This is a replay of what happened to Craig Rose.
Oh, he's going to go straight ahead to the tyre barrier. Here we go. Locks it up.
Oh,
big.
Bang, done the Ryan
hit.
Palmer.
Yep, absolutely Ryan Palmer moment. Hit. Ryan Palmer special, that one. And
into the wall at the outside of
damage. And I reckon it's just up at 5 here where he discovers he can't actually make the turn.
Yeah,
tries it, realises it's not happening, and gets it off the track well and truly.
Yeah, and that is look, not ideal for Rosie. Hopefully he can get that car fixed, get back out there, because there's still plenty of time to go in this race. There could be another safety car. The fact that we've gone 15 laps before we had a safety car is probably a testament to definitely a testament to the drivers and how well they've raced in this opening stage, because typically at Adelaide, the first lap or two, you're going to have a safety car. I don't think there's been many races I've commentated or even raced at this circuit, Jared, where we have not had a safety car in the opening lap or at least the second lap of the race, because there is so much carnage that happens. So these guys have done a beautiful job to get this far in the race so far. 16 laps down. Still a considerable distance in this race to go. Plenty of laps to go, about 34 when they cross the line here. So we should have 33 once we go green again, if we go green this time by. We'll wait and see what race control decides when we get later on in the lap, and just how that rescue and that tow is going for Rosie. I think he is clear, so we should be good to go.
This is why I go back to this one again. This moment for Trap Daly as he comes around the corner. There's Paul Burns.
And, hello.
I cannot get over just how close that was. And look, to be clear, this is again the view from the cockpit. This is what Trav Daly will have actually seen on his sim rig as he's come around this corner. It's just no hope. And honestly, the white livery on that 801 sim racing car actually acted as camo against the white wrapped tyre bundle as well. Like of all the spots for that to happen, and all of the times for that to occur, geez, that was pretty next level.
I think we have to take a moment to appreciate how well he did to keep that out of the wall, because it would have been so easy in that situation to just go, no, I'm just going to go this way, and then every instinct as a race car driver is to slam on the brake, lock the tyres, lock the front wheels, and go straight into that wall. He's done really well to keep it out of the wall. No damage to either car from each other in that situation, and as a result has managed to continue on. Currently sits in 15th place, so that is a brilliant job from Trav Daly to avoid a major incident there. And again, the more you watch that, I think every single time I watch that, I will wince every single time, because that car just comes out of nowhere. Looking like we're going to go green this time by. There will be one more stop that all these drivers have to do. No one has completed both pit stops yet, so 2 compulsory stops this evening, 1 more to come for all of these drivers. So thankfully, Luke Allman in the chat saying they'll have to do 35 laps on these tyres. They won't have to do 35 laps. They will break it up somewhere in there. Where they break it up, will become the question. We are under control of Phil Manuel now, so the safety car has sped away, the Chubby Buns safety car in the distance, and Phil Manuel will lead us back to the green flag, Jared.
That he will, and look, a great position for Manuel to be in as he comes around that final corner. The question is, when does he make the jump? Does he try and hold him up here? No, he's getting straight onto it as they come down the main straight, and we go green flag racing once again. And you can see in the background Brian Borg trying desperately to get some extra heat into those tyres so that he can make the most of this fresh set in behind Jason Benz. Manuel picks up a slowdown immediately, which is not the start to this lap that he would have wanted, but already he's starting, he's just outbraked himself a little into the wall, and that's going to set him back a few positions here. Really, really unfortunate. Really strong restart, just got the braking a little bit off the mark there, and he drops back into fourth. So it's back to Jason Benz and Brian Borg at the front of this field. But now with compression after the safety car, Mark Poynton is right back in this one. Rick Vigar is up 5 spots since the start. He's sitting in 5th, and Abel Verban at the top of the Cup Trophy class is sitting in 6th place. He's 3 clear of Andrew Hoffman. Notably, James Hardy is down in 13th. A lot of work for him to do there to stay in touch with Verban tonight.
Yeah, it's those pit stops not gone in the way of Hardy. He has unfortunately fallen down the order a little bit, and the boys saying that unfortunately Luke Horman has jinxed Phil Manuel and he has fallen down the order, but there's still a long way to go in this race. He sits in 4th. He'll have time to regather now, regroup, getting the slowdown. Look, it gets in your head a little bit, and especially when you're leading the field on safety car restart, there's so much happening all at once, and the slowdown happens and you just feel a little bit frustrated. You get your braking zone slightly wrong, and it can certainly end in disaster. Phil Manuel getting another one this time through, so that's the second slowdown in consecutive laps. He just needs to reset himself. He's got the pace in that car. He knows he's quick. He just needs to show that, and he just needs to keep it clean. Paul Burns also getting a slowdown that time through as well. Troy Stonestreet sitting in 7th place at the moment. He is, look, he's lost out on only 1 place, but I feel like I would have expected him to probably move a bit more forward in this race than he already has so far. So hopefully there is more to come from that 801 Sim Sports Chevy Camaro before the evening is over. Looking at the leaderboard, Brian Borg closing in on Jason Benz, and side-by-side action now as well.
Yeah, Troy Stonestreet really looking for the move on Phil Manuel. He's going to go up the inside here and gets alongside. It's not quite done yet though, as Manuel doesn't want to give this up. He'll have the inside for this left-hander. It's a good spot to be. Pushes Stonestreet all the way out to the edge, but respectful distance kept. Manuel holds on for now to 6th place. It's opening up a bit of a gap ahead though. Abel Verban getting a nice run. Look at the late dive here from Stonestreet, side by side on the exit. A little bit of a nudge, and here comes Stephen Varga. We're going to go almost 3 wide down the main straight. Stonestreet backs out of it. Manuel goes back in front, and we reset and we head for the centre chicane once again, and here we go.
Here we go indeed. Will anyone get a slowdown this time? But I think they've all kept it pretty clean, which is excellent. So no one got a slowdown, and Paul Burns holds on Phil Manuel holds on for now. Troy Stonestreet is in behind, and Stephen Varga will sit in 8th place, because he's got Hoffman as well for company and Andrew Listener. So all these cars bunched back up after the safety car. Everyone's back on a level playing field. Everyone's served their first pit stop. We're all running once again, and those front 2 starting to pull away. Mark Point's trying to go with them, but they have gapped Rick Vigar, who's found himself in 4th place. So Rick Vigar, out of all this, has now jumped up 6 spots into 4th. So he is the biggest mover in that top 10. Actually, I stand corrected. That's actually Andrew Hoffman, who's up into 13th place. He's the biggest mover, up to 13th places, into 9th. He's the biggest mover, but Rick Vigar, the next biggest mover in the field, up 6 spots. And I think with these guys battling behind, he sees a golden opportunity just to try and have a bit of air and track to himself. Abel Verban's a second and a bit behind him, but maybe if these guys keep going the way they are, he could find himself with a bit of breathing room. Look at that train of cars running through the final corner at turn 14, then down the front straight. So Andrew Hoffman leads an angry pack of cars that really all want to get themselves into this top 10.
Absolutely, and that battle pack there goes all the way back to Trent Daly in 15th, really, before we see the gap to Ernie Toss and the next group behind him being Sippel, Burns, Hall and Dunn. Out in front though, Tell you what, once Mark Poynton got through that little bit of traffic he was struggling to clear, he's sticking with Benson Ball up front. So the three of them setting some cracking times. Rick Vigar, as you said, for his efforts in a really, really strong position in fourth place, but he's going to have to keep an eye on Verban, Manuel and Stone Street, not too much further back as well. Ash Hall at the back end of the field is putting some pressure now on Paul Burns. He's tucked in right behind there, less than 2 tenths between them as they come down to the, well, we couldn't decide before whether it was Brewery Corner or Battery World Corner. It really depends on which season or which series you're watching. We might call it Solar Guard Corner, I reckon. And look at this, Ash Hall is forcing his way through. Paul Burns has tried to stay alongside. He's going to be on the inside here, so he's got the advantage, but Ash Hall pushing really, really hard. Jason Dunn now looking to go past Hall, gives him a little nudge, just avoids the time wall, and both Hall and Dunn lose a huge amount of time. Paul Burns wipes the sweat from his brow and survives that one just barely. Jason Bent's under huge pressure from Brian Borg up the front end of the field, who's closed it right up behind him.
Yeah, this is getting pretty aggressive at the front now. Up the inside goes Brian Borg. Oh, Jason Ben's on a turn to the outside for 6. Can he go the over-under to maybe set himself up into 7 here? Has to think about it, but no, not close enough on this occasion. Mark Poynton now is well and truly a part of this battle. He has closed right in with these two battling it out for the lead of the race. So now we have 3 cars battling for the lead of the race. Rick Vigar some 4.5 seconds behind this group. Through turn 8 they go, heavy braking zone into turn 9, which we're now going to call Solar Guard Corner, or the Solar Guard hairpin as well. Defensive line there from Jason Bentz. Had a little bit of slide into the hairpin at 9, but he's got it out pretty straight and will hold on for now, but they're all line astern, and if there's any mistake from either of these two drivers, both Jason Bentz and Brian Borg, Mark Poynton is going to be there to capitalise on whatever happens between these two at the front. He is lurking in the background. I've had a request from Luke Allman as well, just to cover off what's happening with the pit times. I can tell you, all 3 of these guys in the lane for about 30 seconds. 30 seconds for Benson Borg, 31 for Mark Poynton, only 19 seconds for Vigar and Phil Manuel, so they have more time to be stationary. There you go, it's on your screen now, folks. You can see it, just get an understanding. But all these 3 at the front here, level playing field in terms of the amount of the amount of time they've been stopped in the pit lane, so you'd think it'll be fairly even for the next stops coming up here. This is very, he's quick through the staircase section. Brian Borg has a think about it off the exit of 6 into 7, but not able to get anything done. He is very quick through that staircase. Yeah,
and this trio at the front, despite how hard they're battling, they're still pulling away from Vigar behind. They're down to almost 5 seconds now. Verban and Manuel are getting closer to Vigar, but they're not really in at a rate of knots. The 3 out in front are just absolutely blitzing the field. Ray Smith looking and considering a move on James Hardy as they come down towards this high-speed right-hander. Not going to make it happen here, but does he think about it on the way into the hairpin? Look at the background. Trav Daly looking very, very early, just wants to fill the mirror all the way into that corner, and he closes the gap up there as well. Craig Rose continuing to have some massive issues here tonight, and I think he's just pulled over to let a lot of the field through here, but he's carrying some pretty heavy damage. Look at this as we come down towards the centre chicane again. Borg, Bentz and Poynton, and it is all on. Brian Borg has got the pass done on the way out of that final turn, but things will go back. Poynton's got to slow down. I don't think that won't hurt him too much. He'll drop off a little bit here, but he's had plenty of pace, so I wouldn't be too worried about it for the moment. This was a move from Brian Borg. The Chubby Buns replay will show it. Just sends it deep into the final turn under brakes, gets the line right, gets the exit right. Jason Bentz just overdoes the braking a little bit, and then side by side the sprinters on, and Bentz moves across very, very quickly to make sure Poynton can't come through as well. Brian Borg just keeping the car really, really composed on the exit of that final turn, and we've seen it a few times tonight, haven't we? Jason Bentz just getting a little bit excited even on the throttle on the way out of that final turn, and sliding the rear around, and I think it's starting to cost him as we approach the halfway point of this race.
Yeah, he's got this car skating into turn 9 as well. That car is, look, it looks like, and I'm sure he's absolutely got it under control for the most part, but it looks like it is on ice. He is really just trying to wring the neck out of that car and push it as hard as possible. Brian Borg is just there to capitalise when the mistake, when the mistake does come from Jason Bentz. But then again, behind the wall for Chad Vigar, and he'll just have to hold here as the pack rolls through, but there should be minimal damage on that car, so he'll be able to get that rolling once again, and we will be free of a risk of a safety car. Pit lane dive for Listener and Smith, so 2 cars in the lane for their second stop at around about the halfway mark. So lap 25 has just been started. When they cross the line, that will officially be half race distance completed, and a relatively quick half race distance. Only 36 minutes to race.
It's been a lot of green flag, hasn't it?
It has been a lot, and I think we've just jinxed it. We're obviously going to get about, I think we're going to get about 1,000 safety cars now, but it has been fairly clean green running. We did say that. Look, it's going to be tough for the drivers. 50 laps of green running. However, it will go very, very quick for all of these drivers if the race does stay green. What drags it out is when you get a number of safety cars, and I think the fact that it's been so clean, we've stayed green for as long as we have, has been a testament to the skill. Craig Rose into the wall. Again, pulls that car to slow down. And I think
he's
he
not having
might
a
have...
great night tonight. He's been back into the pits to get that power. Look at that, bounces up and over the curb. That's what set Chubby off. Just a nice little tap into the wall. Not really anything to it. But then we get a 5-second time penalty for car 121. That's Jason Dunn for pit lane transit infringement. And as we've seen a few times before, very, very strict rules around the pit lane here with ASR. You do have to stay in that fast lane until it's just a couple of bays before your pit box, and you have to be back out into the fast lane within a couple of bays after. You cannot drive down the pit lane in the pit boxes like so many people do on iRacing. And every now and then it does catch drivers out and they find themselves with a few seconds penalty. Unsafe rejoin for car 110. That's Paul Burns, and I would hazard a guess, and I'm gonna go looking back for it, but I'm pretty sure. Yep, sure enough, lap 13. That was the Trav Daly incident. And you know what? We're gonna do it again. Because this
we're
was,
going to go back and watch it once again.
So
Ryan Palmer,
wild.
watch your screen right now.
This is such a wild moment. Just,
I do not stop wincing. Every single time I watch that, I think anything on board there is just, it's terrifying. And speaking of, this is Troy Stone Street actually facing around the wrong way. So this 801 sim racing car. 5-second penalty for car 44, which is this car right here. So not only has he spun the car, losing a bunch of positions, but it's got an unsafe rejoin 5-second penalty as well. So both 801 sim racing cars copying penalties, and he's going to dive straight into the lane now and get repaired, get some fresh tyres on that, because that was really unfortunate. Obviously, we can go back and unpack exactly what happened there for Troy Stone Street for him to be facing that way, but he's lost a number of positions. He'll be hoping for a safety car. Here we go. Chubby Buns replay shows what happens to Troy Stone Street. Outside curve. Does he get the inside curve? He does. He gets that. Oh, and then the outside wall, which is a huge hit to that. So that was a massive hit on the outside tyre barrier there, the Repco tyre barrier. And that will be a bit of damage on that car. Here we go. The external shot will tell some of the story as well. Inside curve, splits him wide, clips the car in the rear of the car on that tyre barrier, which is very easy to do. Spins the car violently around, face the wrong way, but he's got it rolling again. He's back out on track. There'll be a bit of damage limitation here though for Troy Stone Street. Leads the championship relatively comfortably, Jared, but again, you don't want too many of those mistakes creeping in towards the back end of the championship.
And this is the thing, right? Every bad round that you have means that your previous worst round is no longer a drop round. That's always the challenge, is thinking about it from that perspective. If you have a bad round, you really don't want another one that makes that less than your worst round when it comes to the overall championship points, because that can change dramatically the shape of a season as it all starts to come to a head at this point in each and every season. Out in front, Brian Borg, Jason Bentz still maintaining about a second and a quarter or so over Mark Point, who hasn't quite recovered from that slowdown. Borg's starting to really pull away from Bentz here, and I think that's probably down to the tyre management at this stage. We've seen Bentz really sliding the car around a fair bit, and he does seem to be losing a bit of pace. It's only about 3 or 4 tenths a lap at the moment, but Brian Borg really starting to just get his head down and look towards the checkered flag here. 22 odd laps to go. Jason Bents will have his work cut out for him, but they do have a second stop yet to come. There's been a few drivers that have made their second stop at around the halfway point. Troy Stone Street is at the head of that group, but Andrew Listener, Ray Smith, Paul Burns, Jason Dunn and Chad Vigar all have 2 stops recorded, as does Craig Rose, although unfortunately for Craig it's been mostly damage repair for him, and he won't be likely to feature at the back end of this field.
No, unfortunately for Craig Rose, 6 laps down. This may be, I don't think we'd forget the safety car to be able to get all those laps back, so you just have to roll around, get some points, get classified. I wonder if Jason Bents is fuel saving here. That could be the play for him. He knows that he's probably going to have to work really hard to try and get back past Brian Borg at this stage, and they're pretty similar on pit time. If he can save a little bit of fuel while staying with him here within a second, there could be the potential for him to get the undercut in the pit lane and jump him. So that could be a strategy as well from Jason Bents to just try and set himself up to get track position, because track position will be key towards the back end of this race. Where you sit on the circuit will absolutely matter as we get into the closing stages. This is Brett Horsell, Andrew Hoffman, the closest battle we have on track at the moment. They're just over half a second away from each other, sitting 8th and 9th on the road, but 2nd and 3rd in the Trophy Cup class. So Abel Verban leads the way in the Trophy Cup class, but Hoffman and Horsell 2nd and 3rd, with James Hardy a second and a half behind them, who also has Trav Daly for company behind him. So a couple of Trophy Cup drivers in the top 10 here, 4 to be exact, currently in the top 10. And yes, we have pit stops play out, but it's a great showing from our Trophy Cup drivers to get this close. And
Phil Manuel's going
into
for
the
the
lane
undercut.
goes for Phil Manuel. He's going for the undercut on these two, and they are battling. So this could be a good call, because Abel Verban's just closed up to Rick Vigar, and if they start to battle within the next lap or so, this could cost them time to Phil Manuel, who's now in the lane.
I reckon 20 laps to go, that's a pretty good call from Phil Manuel. If there is a safety car that comes out here, he stands to gain a lot of positions by making the undercut call now. Keep your eye on the tower. Let's see where he comes out ahead of Troy Stone Street, though. If he can get out of the pits decently ahead of Stone Street, then he's set himself up pretty well, although Stone Street is rapidly approaching. Manuel is on the way out of the pit bay. Stone Street just a couple hundred metres behind, but coming down the main straight, Phil Manuel has gotten out in front, and so maintains just over a second lead here. There'll be a brief moment here where Stone Street will start to catch up, and then Manuel's tyres will be up to 10 in no time, and he'll start to pull back away again, I'm sure.
Yeah, he will, as his tyres start to come up to temperature, find that pace, continue to move. A little bit of a look there for Trav Daly into the Solgard hairpin at turn 9. Not anything doing at that stage for him. He did think about it though. James Hardy is closing in, so this battle in front with Hoffman and Horsell has actually invited Hardy and Daly into the party now a little bit more. They're closing in. In dives Hoffman, so he's in the lane. Horsell will stay out. So Hoffman going for the undercut to defend track position. So not the undercut to gain track position, but to defend the track position that he has over Horsell and Hardy here. Maybe even make a little bit of time up to Stephen Varga in front, who is 3.5 seconds up the road. But the battle will continue between Horsell, Daly. Sorry, between Horsell, Hardy, and Daly. So what could happen with these three? Where will Andrew Hoffman and Troy Sippel are also into the pit lane. Ash Hall's choosing to stay out at this stage. The first of the cars that have pitted, Phil Manuel, who is starting to pull away a little bit from Troy Stone Street now that those tyres have come up to temperature, is just over a second. So starting to find a bit of pace and create a bit of breathing space and get himself in clean air, which could be crucial to getting him back towards that podium, because Mark Poynton, Jason Bents, Brian Borg. Jason Bents is actually dropping off more from Brian Borg here, and Mark Poynton is gaining, but Rick Vigar is some 9 seconds behind that.
So Jason Dunn's found himself well and truly off into the kitty litter there. A bit of damage on the rear end of the Southern Cross Racing car as he gets rolling again. That'll be Craig Rose, I think, just coming past there, trying to make his way back through the field. That car for Jason is carrying quite a bit of damage at the front end, and the rear end really not behaving at all. And this is going to be tragedy for Brett Horsell as he gets caught up in that. And that costs him positions to both Hardy and Daly. Now, can Jason Dunn get this moving again, or are we about to get a safety car here?
That's going to be the question. Safety car here could be massive for a number of these drivers. Jason Bent's got to slow down. This is going to leave him vulnerable to Mark Point and cost him more time to Brian Borg. This is what happened to Jason Dunn.
Oh, that tyre barrier again.
Oh, massive. That's the second time it's caught a driver out. And tries to get the car flicked around and moving. We haven't been told that there is a safety car just yet, so he might be okay at this stage. We might be getting away with it.
I've got some doubts though, because Jason Dunn still sitting there just after the final corner, not moving at the moment. I am wondering. I'm wondering what's being decided here, and whether or not we are actually going to see a safety car called. Lucas Burt not currently sitting in the car. Todd Martin might be just considering the options here, but look, here's the call, and sure enough, there's the safety car call, and in comes the entire field. Now, watch for Phil Manuel.
Yep.
This is the opportunity.
This
is what he was hoping for. Borg, Bentz, Point, and Vigar and Verban are all well up through the field. Phil Manuel won't get picked up as the leader here. He'll keep rolling through. But Brian Borg is probably a good 3/4 of a lap further ahead still. You'd have to think that we're going to see Borg, Bentz, Point, and Vigar and Verban all come in. The question is, how much time can Phil Manuel make up right now to get back up to the front of the queue and find himself at the head of this race? Brian Borg coming around the front. So look at the gap he's opened up to Bentz and Point here. In he comes. So no surprises there. Jason Bentz surely will follow. Mark Point absolutely coming straight back in. Rick Vigar, look, you'd be crazy not to come in at this point. You're in an ideal position. There's no reason to try and extend this any further. And sure enough, Vigar comes through. Abel Verban's going to come around and come on in for his second pit stop. The question will be how quickly they can get this done.
Just keep an eye on Jason Bentz there. The stop time for him, he did cut across that blend line very, very late. I think he might be okay, but there is a potential that with the way this game works, there could be a penalty for him. No, he's gotten away with it. Yeah, Brian Borg's done. So 11 seconds. So they have jumped out pretty quickly. Bentz has actually gained on Brian Borg there in that stop. So he actually did get away with it. I was concerned, but out comes. Remember Phil Manuel had a 10-second faster stop than those at the front of the fields in the first round of pit stops, which put him to the front of the pack. However, that then meant that he had to sit for 10 seconds longer in this second pit stop. So he will sit ahead of Rick Vigar, so just jump up to 4th position. However, he will not gain track position on Point and Benson Borg, but he will sit right in behind them on this safety car restart. So he is back in podium contention, 4.266, Phil Manuel. He is in a very good position now. Troy Stonestreet back into 6th on correction as well, which is a brilliant damage limitation for him after facing the wrong way and losing a number of spots. He has found himself back up to 6th, which is great.
Well, this is going to compress the field right up, and despite us not having the initial opening race that we were expecting here tonight, we are going to find ourselves with pretty much a 15-lap sprint to the end. It's going to be a rolling start rather than a standing start, but it's going to be that sprint finish here for everyone at the front end. Great news for Mark Point getting back in amongst it. Phil Manuel finds himself up in 4th, so he's on track for a really, really strong result here. And everyone starts to settle in behind the Chubby Buns safety car. I don't think we'll be going green this time around. I expect it'll be next time, and we're not seeing the safety car pull away just yet, so that's looking pretty likely that we've got another lap to go. The reason, if we missed it, folks, that we are under safety car here, Jason Dunn, unfortunately doing quite a bit of damage to the back end of this Southern Cross racing car. Just gets it into the tyre barrier, comes around, and unfortunately backs into the wall there. And not too long after that, he did manage to get it moving again. But the Chubby Buns replay will show you as he comes down to the final turn. Finds that there's quite a bit more damage to this car than you might have thought. Gets on the power and immediately swings it around. A little bit of contact there with Brett Horsell, who was just wrong place, wrong time. And Jason Dunn unable to move it any further from that location. So the car has been sitting there waiting to be removed from the circuit.
Yep.
As we find ourselves under safety car.
Under safety car.
And awaiting that happening.
Sprint race to the end coming up, which look, this is what we want. This is what we were expecting earlier in the evening, and now where it's about to be gloves off, we get lap car. That's Craig Rose going through, getting his lap back, or one of his laps back. He's got a number of laps he needs to try and get back here this evening, but at least he'll get one of those laps back. I'd like to point out, folks, James Hardy back into the lead of the Trophy Cup class. So after all of that, in this sequence of stops, he has jumped Abel Verban, a 10-second quicker stop again for James Hardy. So again, that shorter stop, so the longest stop in the first of those two compulsory stops has paid dividends in the end. He has jumped back to the lead, sits in 9th place. Abel Verban in 10th, and then it's Andrew Lissner separating Brett Horsell and Andrew Hoffman from those two Trophy Cup class drivers. So we have 4 Trophy Cup class drivers all within a shot of a podium and a victory here in class. You've got Brian Borg, Jason Bentz, Mark Poynton, Phil Manuel at the front of this field. Don't forget about Rick Vigar and Troy Stonestreet and Stephen Varga either. A number of drivers in this field that can win this race. It could go either way or it could go any number of ways with 15 laps to go at the line. If we get another lap under safety car, that could be 14 laps to go. We are in for a true old-fashioned sprint race, and it is anyone's game, Jared.
We get a confirmation the safety car is coming in this lap. So we are about to go green. And look, I'm almost disappointed. I was going to go back one more time to the mother of all avoiding actions from Trav Daly earlier on. It's I've revisited it a few times tonight, I know, folks, but my goodness, what a great move that was. And avoided sheer disaster by the skin of the teeth. Just a brilliant bit of driving. We are coming around now to get back underway. Brian Borg will lead us off as he comes out of the final turn now. Is he going to try and concertina this field a bit here? Is he going to get on? He is actually going to hold them up a little bit longer. There he goes. Just a momentary hesitation from Borg, and that's enough to break the hold of Jason Bentz to that rear bar. And here we go, folks. It is a sprint from here to the checkered flag. Brian Borg in the lead, Jason Bentz behind. Mark Poynton and Phil Manuel still right in at Rick Vigar, sitting in 5th ahead of Stone Street, Varga, Daly. James Hardy at the head of the Cup Trophy class will look to hold off Abel Verban as we go racing for 14 more laps. Will we get home without another safety car? Only time will tell. But right now we have a massive train of cars all the way back from Brian Borg to Ash Hall in 19th, Chad Vigar in 20th.
Yeah, it is a huge gap of cars. Chad Vigar is about 8 seconds behind Ash Hall. Was he? No, yeah, he is about 8 seconds behind Ash Hall. So he's got a fair gap, but all the way from 1st to 19th is a massive train. Look at them all run through turn 8 and how close some of them are getting to that wall as they're pushing right from the word go. It is a sprint race now, folks. No time left to sit around, save fuel, dawdle. Everyone's completed both compulsory pit stops. The safety car has reset this field almost like a competition caution, really, for these guys to serve their stops and get back out there and push on again. It has come at just a perfect time for these guys. A little bit of damage on the front of that 100 car of Jason Bentz, so he is carrying a little bit of cosmetic damage, it does look like, on the front of that car. Maybe I was seeing things, but I was sure there was some damage on that car. We'll keep an eye on that as we run around. But Jason Bentz, Brian Borg, Mark Poynton's lost touch a little bit. Jason Bentz has closed right in though. He was very quick through that centre chicane. So the turns 1, 2 and 3, he carried so much more speed than Borg, and he is right under the rear bar of the 017 or the 17 Mustang Mods Mustang as they run through the staircase.
Here we go. Jason Bentz will look for the move up the inside. Great exit though from Brian Borg as they make their way down the back straight. This is absolutely top speed here, up over 220, 230k an hour, just touching 240 before backing it off. Hits the wall ever so slightly. What do they say here? It's not racing Adelaide if you go home with both your mirrors. And great defensive move there from Brian Brook to hold Jason Bentz off. Bentz is going to have the inside, but he's not going to be in quite the position to make a move this time around. But Jason Bentz throwing everything he can find at Brian Borg to try and get back in front of this field. Mark Poynton in the background sticking with them. Phil Manuel has moved up on Rick Vigar, finds himself in 4th. Vigar, though, still sitting in 5th, so on track for a really, really strong result here. James Hardy made his way past Trav Daly at some point on that lap as well. We can go back and take a look at that in a moment, but this battle at the front end of the pack is where it's all at right now, ladies and gents. The lead of this race hanging by a thread as Brian Borg tries desperately to hold off the attacks of Jason Bentz. Mark Poynton just waiting for the opportunity.
Yeah, lock up there from Bentz into from Borg into 4. He grabbed the right front ever so slightly, got out of it, cleared it pretty quickly, but it's cost him time. Bentz is trying everything he can. Borg was driving super defensive, parked the car in the middle of the road at the final corner, turn 14, and then checked up to stop Bentz from driving underneath him. So he's driving smart defensive style at the moment from Borg. We've seen him do this before. Bentz is going to throw everything at him though. Nice run off the corner. Borg walks him all the way to the inside. He's going to have to go the long way around if he wants to get it done. Jason Bentz, they are side by side through 9 at the hairpin. Nothing doing on this occasion for Bentz. Not able to stick it and keep it around the outside. He'll try and stay with him here through 11 across the curb. So much aggression from all these drivers with the curb usage. Poynton almost found himself in the wall there. Watch for Borg here. Stays wide because he knows that Bentz isn't close enough. A little bit of a moment there for both of them into the final corner. But if Bentz was closer, Borg would have had to park that car in the middle of the road. They are pushing each other at the moment. The times are flying. Look at the cars as they run across the curb. There is nothing in it between these 3 and 4, even 4 at the front of the field, because every time they battle, Phil Manuel gets invited back into this party once again. So all 4 cars, if anyone makes a mistake here, it is game over.
As we see Paul Burns now closing in on the back of Ray Smith. This is the battle all the way back in 14th, but realistically not that too much further back from the front pack as well. Burns just trying to recover something from this race, as is Ray Smith, who's still down 12 from where he started after that very, very strong qualifying effort. Just hasn't played out for him here tonight. Rick Vigar will be looking ahead and watching that gap just get larger and larger. Unfortunately, the gap behind him getting smaller and smaller as Stone Street, Varga and Hardy all start to move to threaten his 5th place finish. He's got a fair few laps still to run, but the numbers are coming down very, very quickly. Jason Bentz giving Brian Borg no room at all, still hovering around that 3/10 back and just waiting for the moment, waiting for the mistake here. Brian Borg needs to drive a perfect race for the next 11 laps if he wants to come home the winner here tonight at Adelaide.
Yeah, he does. He really needs to not make any mistakes from here on out. All 4 of these drivers are in contention to win this race here. Do not count any one of them out just yet. Bentz is going to drive the wheels off this thing though. He loves this place. We spoke to him last week after he went back to back in both races, and he said he was really looking forward to getting to these final 2 rounds. He felt like the Australian tracks is where he comes alive, and he hasn't quite had the season that he's wanted. I feel like Brian Borg maybe in the same boat, hasn't quite had some of the performances that he would have wanted. Yet they have performed well on occasion, but for Bentz, that was the first time he stepped on the top step of the podium all season. It's not something we see car around here. That's Scott Perrins. He's got to get it faced the right way again, and he does. So he is rolling. We stay green, and Bentz still right in behind Borg at the front of this field. Both of them would desperately love another win. Up the inside now, Stone Street thinks about a move on. Vigar shows the nose. They're side by side at the hairpin. Room is left by Vigar. Under brakes. And it looks like he's got that done, does Stone Street, and he is moved up into 5th place. So a top 5 result here for Stone Street. Champion, well, the man that leads championship, one hand on the trophy, you have to feel like if you can walk away from this evening with this result.
Yeah, and it almost didn't look like it was going to happen early on in the piece, but he's done a great job to fight back through to the top end of this field. And look, even a 5th place result at this point will be more than enough, you'd have to think, him to hang on to the lead of the championship and come away with top step at the end of next week's round. But look, anything can happen. We've still got 9 laps or so to go here at Adelaide, and we've already seen some pretty wild moments throughout the night here. Out in front, Brian Borg, Jason Benz, Mark Point not easing up at all. Phil Manuel just a little bit further back, but he's now well and truly in contention here, and a potentially very, very strong result for the 266 Sim Racing entry. It wouldn't take much of a collision up ahead to elevate Point and Manuel into a podium spot here. Borg and Benz need to be just a little bit careful. They're going to fight hard all the way to the flag, but they end up taking each other out. I don't think either of them are going to be super impressed with it. As it stands, they're pushing pretty hard. You can see them bouncing up and over the curb, sparks flying as they drag those chassis rails over the very, very tall inside curb here. And down we go again. Jason Benz, he's just not able to get close enough at the moment to Brian Borg. He's right on the tail, but Borg is absolutely all over this at the moment, keeping very, very clean lines, and looks to have this well under control.
Yeah, and every time he does get close, Borg just knows exactly where to place that car to prevent him from getting past. There's beautiful defensive driving. Ash Hall, Chad Vigard going for it as well. Into the final corner, late dive from Vigard, shows the nose. Room left by Ash Hall, goes very wide actually on the exit there and opens the door right up. They're going to go side by side down the front straight as they run down towards the centre chicane. So this could get messy if they still are side by side, but they work it out before they get there. That might be a slowdown for Vigard. It is, so he's going to have to give that position back with the slowdown that he'll cost. Up the inside now goes Ash Hall into 4. Again, a little bit of room left, a bit of locking there from Ash Hall. There's a slight touch between the two of them. And Ash Hall is going to, makes contact with the outside wall, tried to go the long way around. And unfortunately, he's made contact with that tyre barrier on the outside, and that will go the way of Chad Vigard in the end. Looking at this battle as well, the back end of the top 10, Trav Daly, Andrew Listener, Brett Horsell, Hoffman and Ray Smith. Ray Smith, who started on the front row. It has been a difficult evening for him, but still in 14th place. Still plenty of time, and with all these cars in front of him, could find himself inside the top 10.
Yeah, anything can happen from here. Andrew Listener has been really quiet tonight, honestly. He's up 5 positions, and he's done it with a minimum of fuss. We haven't seen him get caught up in pretty much anything at all night, and now finds himself battling it out for the back end of that top 10. Out in front, Borg, Benz, Point and Manuel all still well and truly locked into that, almost 5 seconds ahead of Troy Stone Street. You'd have to think that that's out of reach for Stone Street at this point. But still a bit of racing left to go. Abel Verban's had an issue somewhere around the circuit. He looks to be in pretty good shape considering, but finds himself a fair way back, 3.5 seconds on James Hardy now, so it's not looking good for his challenge on Hardy for the Cup Trophy.
No, he's lost time, and unfortunately means, and at the front of the field, here we go, Jason Betts under brakes, late dive. He has to wait a really long time there. Did not show his cards until the very last second on Brian Borg. Went for the move, was not able to make it stick on that occasion, but that's exactly what you have to do. You have to try and catch Brian Borg unawares. If you try and make the move early, he'll be awake to it, he'll be aware to it, and he will defend. Speaking of defending, Mark Poynton goes defensive into the final corner from Phil Manuel, who's also a part of this. We have 4 cars. Look at the separation. There is nothing in it between these 4. We have 5 laps to go, 6 laps to go in this race. No time left for anything major to happen. A slowdown for Jason Benz. I saw that as they came across the curb. It looked like he got a little bit too greedy. This will cost him time because he's going to have to try and clear that in this staircase section. It'll leave him vulnerable to Poynton, and it's going to open up and give a free kick to Brian Borg, who will now have clean air, probably over a second worth of clean air by the time this slowdown's cleared.
And the question is, can Poynton and Manuel both capitalise on this? How much does Benz have to clear down this back straight? Here comes Mark Poynton. He's going to go past. Can Manuel go with him? I don't think he's going to get there. You can see that Benz is on the brakes as he's trying desperately to clear that. He's got it clear now. Phil Manuel just holding off, and look, probably not a bad decision, just playing it safe. Didn't want to get caught up side by side through the right-hand sweeper. Mark Poynton now up into second. Phil Manuel right in this fight as well. Jason Benz in third will want to get past Poynton again and get back up to attack Borg as quickly as possible. He is running out of time. He's running out of laps. There is not a lot left in this race. Trav Daly has had an issue as well in the background. We'll have to go back and take a quick look at these couple of incidents that have happened. But the battle at the front resets for another lap. Nicol Verban, just a little earlier, has had a bit of a moment under brakes here, coming down into the hairpin. Just gets it very, very sideways.
Oh.
Pulls it up nicely, though.
Oh,
So
wow. That's a
can't
solid
complain
7
too
out of
much.
10.
Yeah, we'll allow that. The Chubby Buns replay will show us Trav Daly was just getting out of the way, actually, by the looks of things, rather than having any particular incident. Although on the,
there you go.
power over has undone himself and finds himself dropping further back through the field, so he's back into 18th now. Out in front, Brian Borg almost a second now over Mark Poynton, and you'd have to think that it's almost out of reach for Mark Poynton to catch up to Brian Borg. Jason Bentz has fallen off the back of Poynton as well, so I wonder if those tyres have just reached the limit. He's abused them just a little bit too much in the last couple of laps, trying to hold with Brian Borg, and now he's starting to pay for it. That said, Phil Manuel also struggling to catch up here, and it does look, I don't want to call it too soon here, Isaac, but Mark Poynton, I don't think he's got I don't think he's got the pace to attack Borg here. I think his best bet, Jason Benz, a very, very late dive under brakes, just avoids the rear end of Mark Poynton. That's going to cost him a lot of exit speed, so that takes some pressure off Poynton for a brief moment. But as they come through the centre chicane, Mark Poynton's still a half second off the back of Borg, but he is starting to close in. Benz picks up another slowdown, but so does Phil Manuel.
That would have been the key opportunity for Phil Manuel to capitalise. Mark Poynton, he is closing up here. Oh, massive incident at the final corner. That's
Ray Smith and Paul Burns.
Ray Smith, Paul Burns, all caught up in that, and that will be resolved. But Mark Poynton, he's going to try and stay with Brian Borg here. Whether he can get it done or not remains to be seen. But as a wise Canadian named Justin Bieber once said, never say never. And that's exactly what Mark Poynton is doing here. He is not saying it's not over yet. It is not over until that checker flag comes out. He can throw everything at him here. Troy Stone Street is actually riding behind Phil Manuel now as well. So Manuel's at risk of losing a spot here in the background to Troy Stone Street and dropping into 5th position. So what could have been a podium for Phil Manuel could turn into a 5th place finish here if Troy Stone Street has anything to say about it before this race is over. Jason Betts has dropped right off the back of this group. He is probably out. He's probably out of reach, but there is less than half a second, or just around half a second, between Borg and Poynton, with not that long to go. There is time running out, but if Poynton can put a bit of pressure on, maybe he can force Borg into a mistake, or he could just find a nice run somewhere to get off. If he can maximise his run off 7, he can get the slipstream through 8 to make a move into 9, but he just has to make sure that Borg's not aware of it, because he has to go late, as we saw with Benz. Here we go. This is what happened to Ray Smith and Paul Burns. Under brakes, and Paul Burns just turns into the corner. There was a bit of overlap between Smith and Burns, and as a result, there was contact, and they do lose a few positions there to a number of drivers. So that, I'm sure, will be looked at by the stewards. This is Horsell, Listener, and Hoffman going for the back end of the top 10 still. So this battle continues to go on, and Listener currently sitting in that last spot in the top 10, but Horsell and Hoffman, they have anything to say about it before this race is over, will find themselves in the top 10. Look at Horsell. He is all over the back of the 44 car in front, and as is Mark Poynton all over the back of Brian Borg. So there's a nice number of battles happening here. Great to see that, even though I guess we did have 2 safety cars, but after almost 50 laps of racing, Jared, there is still positions to be fought for.
Yeah, still plenty going on, and look, at this stage of the season, you really do need to be chasing every extra point you can get your hands on. Mark Poynton is throwing everything at Brian Borg here, but Jason Benz clearly he's burned all his matches here tonight. I don't think he's got anything left. The only question will be whether Phil Manuel can get in amongst it now. Listen to Horsell and Hoffman as they approach the final turn. Horsell goes for the much wider entry, gets caught up behind Listener, slowing it down, parking it on the apex, and here comes Andrew Hoffman now. And look, the two Supercar racing entries not doing each other any favours there. Horsell comes through, Hoffman and Listener now relegated to 11th and 12th. Still a great drive from Andrew Hoffman. He's up 11 places from where he qualified. Andrew Listener still up 4 as well. But would you believe the top 3 in Cup Trophy Championship, James Hardy, Abel Verban, Brett Horsell, currently sitting 1, 2, 3 in Cup Trophy standings here tonight. So, look, if there's nothing else, that is probably the most consistent championship racing that we've seen all season. Hardy, Verben, and Horsell, just nothing to separate them all season.
No, and that's great to see that they are still 1, 2, and 3 battling each other pretty closely. Andrew Listener must have some sort of problem. He's dropped another spot to Paul Burns there, so something is happening behind the wheel of that Southern Cross Racing Chevy Camaro, and we will get to the bottom of that, I'm sure. But this is the battle at the front of the field, lap 49, so 2 laps to go. Not a lot of time. Mark Poynton to make something happen. He has closed right up. He's got a good run here off the centre chicane. He's going to have to go the long way around. He does think about it, but not on this occasion. Not able to get it done under brakes because, again, Brian Borg just knows where to put that car to go defensive. Phil Manuel's also closed right up on Jason Bent, so he is pushing for a podium here. He's back in with a shot at getting himself into podium contention. Troy Stonestreet not too far behind this group as well. Do not count him out just yet either. Onto the back straight. It is nothing in it between first and second and third and fourth. They're separated by literally less than a car length as they run through turn 8. Does he go for the late dive here? He's going to have to show the nose late, otherwise Borg will be awake to it. He doesn't. He's not close enough on this occasion. He'll have one more opportunity out of 7 down through 8 and into 9. So will Phil Manuel. There is not a lot of time left in this race at all. Opportunities for overtakes are running out, and they have to be very calculated, especially Mark Poynton, because Brian Borg is going to make that Ford Mustang as wide as possible.
That said, all of a sudden, Borg, I thought was starting to get just a little bit loose through the staircase last lap. He's found some legs here in the second half of that penultimate lap, and now as they get the white flag, they come across the line. Borg has opened up 7/10 here. Mark Poynton needs to find something extra if he wants to challenge for that top step. Jason Benson, Phil Manuel, still relatively close together, but there's a half second between all of them here, and if Poynton can't get closer by the time they get onto that back straight, you'd have to think that this is all said and done. Brian Borg set to walk away with the win here tonight after 50 laps of the Adelaide Street Circuit. The Solar Gard Supercar Championship with Alliance Sim Racing is rapidly drawing to a close. This is round 9, 1 round to go after this at none other than Bathurst. And what a way to finish this season as we see Ernie Toth takes a move through the centre chicane and picks up the spot over Chad Vigard. That was over Troy Sippel, sorry. That was very, very bold indeed. You can see all of the drivers pushing very hard for these last spots. We get to the last few corners. Brian Borg still in front. Surely from here he'll hang on to this one. There can't be anything left in it. Brian Borg, Mark Poynton, they've been at it for laps and laps, but in the end, Brian Borg too strong. He's got one good braking effort to make here, and that will be all said and done. Gets on the brakes, gets the final turn done. Mark Poynton will throw everything he can at it, but it's not going to be enough. And as they come to the checkered flag, it is Brian Borg that takes the win ahead of Mark Poynton. Jason Benz finishes strong with Phil Manuel in 4th, and Troy Stonestreet comes home in 5th. We await now a few of these last-minute battles as they come out. Rick Vigard, James Hardy, Abel Verban, all right in there close together. The next closest, this one here, Ernie Toth, ahead of Troy Sippel and Andrew Listener. And again, I don't think we'll see much in the way of change here on these final few corners. Brett Horsell will come home in 10th ahead of Andrew Hoffman in 11th, who comes up from 11th position, halves his race number. Starts in 22nd, finishes in 11th. A great result for him. Ernie Toth, Troy Sippel will cross the line. Andrew Lister, look, I'm worried for a moment there he might have run out of fuel. I think he's just had a bit of a moment somewhere in the background. He'll come home just ahead in the end of Chad Vigard. But Brian Borg carrying a little bit of front end damage there for goodness knows how long, as we see in the background. Jason Bentz catches up alongside and taps the wall on the way through. And Brian Borg will slide it into the escape road. Maybe not quite where he wanted to, stop the car, but a very much worthy celebration there.
Yeah, very, very well-deserved celebration for Brian Borg. A hard-fought victory. A little bit of a nudge of the wall there for good luck, and he's actually going to use that to his advantage and do the classic wall burnout. And yeah, very, very hard fought race there. 2 safety car periods, almost timed perfectly to split that race into even splits. which meant that he did come out on top in the end by just over half a second from Mark Poynton.
And this is how it ends up. Brian Borg takes the win ahead of Point. Jason Bentz and Phil Manuel behind them. Then Stone Street and Varga ahead of Rick Varga. The Cup Trophy class, James Hardy, Abel Verban, Brett Horsell and Andrew Hoffman, the first four across the line there in 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th overall, with Paul Burns in 12th. Ernie Toth and Troy Sipple 13th and 14th. Then Andrew Listener and Chad Vargo, with Scott Perrins in at 17th and Ash Hall, the last driver to finish on the lead lap. Trav Daly ends up 4 laps down, with Ray Smith down 5, as the first of the drivers having a bit of a rough night tonight. Certainly didn't end there. Craig Rose finished 7 laps down. Jason Dunn 20 laps down. Brad Hayes could not overcome those internet connection issues that he experienced just before the start of the race, and unfortunately couldn't get out there on track. I tell you what, it has been a pretty full-on evening this evening, Isaac. We're waiting to see if we do get a few drivers come and join us in the booth for a bit of a chat after that one, but I reckon they're probably hurting at this point.
Again, 50 laps of pretty much green running. We did have 2 safety car periods, as we said, but they're only a couple laps each, so not a massive amount of breathing time for these drivers to really reset. It takes a lot out of you. 160 Ks, Adelaide Street Circuit. It's, as we said at the top of the broadcast, Joe, very different to 160 Ks on the M1 from Brisbane to the Sunshine Coast. So there's a lot more turning time, a lot busier in a supercar, and I'm sure all these all 3 of our podium players, we love to chat to them, but they have to be exhausted. They have fought super hard for that, and it is well deserved, the result for all 3 of them.
Yeah, it absolutely is. We'll give them just a brief moment to see if they can make it in. I don't know whether there's been any conversation with the with race control. Certainly, it's been a bit of an interrupted flow of events here this evening with the initial issues with the fixed setups. Of course, if you weren't around at the start, you missed out on Isaac and I filling some time for about half an hour or so while we had to get the server reset. Otherwise, we had a real parity issue. But in the end, all said and done, it's all been sorted out, and we ended up with, again, a very, very balanced top 10 overall. As I count them off here, 4 Fords, 6 Corvette Chevrolets. We're not looking at GT3s here. 6 Chevys, 4 Fords. It's pretty evenly balanced front end of this field. But look, after 50 laps, a few drivers I think probably feeling it a bit now, and we'll have a chat to our podium and see just how they're doing after what was a very, very tough night of racing. We'll start off with Jason Bentz, who comes home in 3rd tonight. G'day, Jason. Welcome on back.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Yeah, it's a bit different, a bit of a long race for me, I think.
Mate, it looked like tough going out there. Certainly no shortage of battles, and a couple of safety cars just compressed the field back up. You really didn't get an opportunity to take a breather at all tonight, did you?
No, the couple of safety cars helped when they came, like broke it up a little bit. But yeah, as soon as we were going again, it was pushing every lap, and I just ended up killing the rears, and the other 2 got away from me.
Yeah, we did have some questions about the rears, but I think you've just made it pretty clear that that's exactly what happened. We noticed the car starting to slide around a fair bit towards the end there. Was it just a case of just pushing it a little bit too hard in that battle with Borg after the second safety car, or did you feel like it was just a little bit off the night tonight?
I think it's just the way I drive it. Like Nürburgring last week was a little bit different. You're sort of rolling through a lot of the corners, but here I'm back on the brakes pretty heavy, and I tend to kill it pretty quick.
Well, mate, if you're getting sets of tyres, you may as well use them up fully, right?
Yeah, but not to that extent.
Mate, maybe a little bit too much, but look, all said and done, still came out with a 3rd place. Probably not quite where you wanted to finish, but still on the podium this evening. So a good result for you and for Quantum Racing this evening, mate. Before we let you go, anyone you do want to say hello to?
I just shout out to all the Quantum Racing boys.
Nice and easy. Jason, always a pleasure, mate. Bathurst next week. You looking forward to it?
Yeah, it should be fun.
Always is. Always is. Thanks so much for dropping in to chat to us, Jason, and congrats again on the results tonight, mate.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for the broadcast.
Jason Bentz takes third place this evening, and we go now to second place. It is none other than Mark Boynton. G'day, Mark.
G'day, mate. How are you?
Oh, look, doing all right. It feels like a really, really long time since we had the pleasure of your company in the booth. It can't be that long, surely.
I was starting to think you might be allergic to me or something, but yeah, it's been a little while.
Well, mate, you've certainly put the show on tonight. The safety cars really helped you get back in touch with those front two, and once you got up to them, you just grabbed on and didn't let go.
Yeah, it was a tough first stint. They were Jason and Brian were really quick and getting away from us. Around here, I mean, the chance of a safety car is always high, and it worked out well for me just to get back a little bit of lost distance, and I knew that once I could jump on the back of them, I felt like I had the pace to stay with them, but once they went, I didn't have the pace to catch them.
Well, mate, it's played out pretty nicely. In the end, you've done a great job of just managing the tyres, as we see you just brush the tyre wall on the entry to centre there on our replay. It's 50 laps around Adelaide. It's a fair way, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, mate. It's and you really don't get anywhere to have a break. You'd think that there's sort of two reasonable straights there, but I mean, coming into turn 8, that straight there, you're solely focused on making sure you get turn 8 right, and then coming into the next one, you're focused on making sure you're getting your braking marker, because that's about the only, or not only, but it's the hot place to make a pass. So even in the two sort of straight areas, you really not got much time to rest or do anything. So it's a tough little track, but it's a fun one. You make a mistake, you pay for it, but it's rewarding if you get it right.
Well, mate, it has certainly been rewarding for you tonight. Some good points for you this evening, picking up second place. A massive congrats from us for the result. It was great racing to watch. Before we do let you go, anyone you want to say hello to at home?
Mate, just a big thanks to you guys foremost, and also the league and management. We had a little false start, and they did really well to regroup and get us on the track tonight. So thank you, admin and race control. You guys do a fantastic job with the broadcast. And then Frogleap Juice Racing, thank the team, Juiced Energy, Racecraft, and Stodhall.
Always a pleasure to chat to you, Mark. Hopefully we get a chance to do it one more time this season at Bathurst next week. And we'll wish you the very best for that one.
Fingers crossed, mate. Take care. Cheers.
Mark Boynton takes home second place here tonight at Adelaide, which leaves us with the man himself, the winner here this evening at Adelaide. It is, of course, from Mustang Mods, Brian Borg, who joins us in the booth now. G'day, Brian.
Hey, guys.
Mate, that was a pretty epic battle right throughout tonight. You were given really no room at all, and if it wasn't Jason, it was Mark, who was right on your tail all the way through that race. How are you feeling right about now? You're pretty exhausted?
Yeah, it's just it was frustrating. Like, it was good battle. Like, I don't know what the other boys spoke about, but like, I'm pretty sure Bentz probably would have said it. Every time that you would do a swap for the lead, like, the car behind has better grip. Out in front, the car just doesn't turn. So I was struggling that last stint, being out in front. It just felt like I was on marbles the whole stint.
Oh, mate, look, for some of us, we feel like that every time we drive a Gen 3 supercar. So you're just getting a view into my world, really, mate.
Yeah.
But look, considering the challenge that Adelaide always throws up, and then to add the pressure that you're under all night tonight, you looked remarkably composed. Was that something you were really focusing on in terms of looking after the tyres, or did it just kind of play out that way?
I think it comes down to, I know the people I'm racing against, and I know that I can trust Bence with his racecraft, and he's not going to. I mean, he nearly took me out last corner, so he has to pay me some money for that one. But no, look, I can fully trust who I'm racing against, so I guess that makes you more confident in how you drive the car. Yeah, it was just, having him behind, I just knew that, like, unless I stuffed up, he wasn't going to make a move.
And this is one of the great things about consistent league racing, isn't it? As you get to know the people you're around and the drivers you're up against week in, week out, it really does allow you to push on in ways that you just can't do in the open iRacing official events.
Yeah, that's right. And there's a lot of guys in here who show a lot of respect in their racecraft and stuff. I mean, look, I get it wrong every now and then, and I'll put my hand up when I do it wrong. I mean, some people might think that I don't, but anyway, that's what they think. But like, you just got to put your hand up when you get it wrong, because that's racing, that's motorsport. I want Bence to go for a dive. I want him to show his nose. That's what racing's about.
Well, mate, one more round to go. Bathurst lies ahead of us. It's a classic finish to any supercar season. Are you looking forward to it, or is it a track that fills you with a little bit of dread when you think about having to put on the sort of defensive effort you had tonight, but at a place like Bathurst where there's even bigger walls, even narrower racing lines? It's a whole different animal, that place.
No, I've always liked Bathurst. Like, it's a track that it just suits our Aussie supercars, so it just feels like it's at home over there. But I don't practice as much as I used to, so it's just fun, just rocking up and just having a good time.
Well, mate, it looked like a great time out there tonight, and certainly coming away with the results to show for it. A huge congrats on the win here tonight. Before we do let you go, as always, if you want to give a shout out to anyone or say hello, then now is the time. Brian, over to you.
Yeah, just a big shout out to the sponsors: Milestone Mods, MP Concepts, Herod Performance, Jack Mechanic, and anyone else who I've forgotten about. But big shout out to you guys for the broadcast. I hope it was an entertaining one. I hope you guys have a voice left. And yeah, thanks guys.
Mate, just wait till you go back and see the moment between Paul Burns and Trav Daly. I don't think anyone that was racing would have picked up on it, but we looked at it a few times, and that has been the avoiding moment of the season from Trav Daly. It was a huge one. So we'll let you go and have a look back at that one, mate. Go get yourself a well-deserved drink. Hopefully we get a chance to chat to you next week at Bathurst.
Thanks, mate.
Brian Borg there takes the win in Adelaide, and that will finish up round 9. Just one round left in this season with Alliance Sim Racing. Isaac, tell you what, if tonight is the penultimate round, then Bathurst certainly has a lot to live up to, and I suspect it'll do so pretty easily.
I see no reason why I wouldn't, Jared. It's the final day of school. Gloves will be off next week. And it is Bathurst. Everyone knows this track like the back of their hand. I do not see a reason why everyone won't be on absolute full noise next Tuesday night. It's going to be spectacular to watch. And for Troy Stone Street, he has one hand on the trophy. You have to feel like from here, it's going to be quite difficult to lose, but you never say never. Anything can happen when we get to the mountain.
A massive thank you to everyone watching at home tonight. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed it here in the booth. It's been another great round of racing, and with one more left to go, the best is yet to come. A finish to any supercar season at Bathurst is one to be there for. So do make sure you put it in the calendar. Hit the little bell icon so that you're notified when we do go live. And if you're not subscribed already, make sure you do, because you're missing out on some great racing otherwise. Massive thank you, as always, to Alliance Sim Racing for having us along to put these broadcasts on. Solarguard St. Gobain for their ongoing support of the Alliance Sim Racing Supercar Series. And of course to Quantum Tint Solutions, AA West Automotive, Tint, Nicol Photography, and 24/7 Sim Services for their race control services here each and every week. It's been an absolute pleasure to be back in the booth once again with Isaac Fogarty. My name's Jared Cole, and to everyone at home, thank you so much for joining us here on Simple Racing Broadcast. We will see you again next week. It is goodbye for now.